One.
Alright, what is up everybody? I am back, this time with an subjectively better 3D Mario game. At least one that I'm better at. Hopefully I put on a better show for this game. But anyways, I actually ran this at the last event, so I'm hoping to do better than the run I did at last event. It was a 308 flat, so I'm aiming to do sub 308. So, if you're ready to go ahead and get started, I'll get ready with the countdown. Right, let's go in 3, 2, 1, go. Alright, here we go. So, Super Mario Galaxy 2 N% works a lot like Super Mario 64 and its predecessor, Super Mario Galaxy, obviously, where in order to unlock the final bossy level, you need a specific number of stars. In this game, you need 70 stars to unlock the final bossy level, Bowser's Galaxy Generator. And then to actually beat the game, you have to collect the grand star in that level. So this is technically a 71 star run. And as is the nature of Super Mario Galaxy games, we start with a 2.5 minute intro sequence. That's pretty much entirely in 2D. And there's also a bunch of text box matching. And within a minute of the game, we're introduced to this little Luma. He's going to go into Mario's hat and give us the ability to spin. And spinning basically lets you do everything in this game. You can hit enemies, you can open levers, you can take launch stars, you get more height out of your jumps, you can break stuff. You basically can't beat the game without it. Alright, so coming up is the first trick of the run here. Alright, I got it. So, when you land on the slope with a high amount of speed, there's a small frame window where if you jump on the slope, you'll maintain that momentum. And that's what we like to call a slope boost, and you'll be seeing a couple of those throughout the run. Unlike Galaxy 1, you can't actually climb up slopes, but you can get some of those nice boosts off of them. Okay. Now, unfortunately, there's this next bit is just a lot of text box meshing, so you're just kind of meshing the A button. One thing I'm going to point out right now is that this game does have a lot of downtime. In between stars, there's roughly 45 seconds to a minute on average. But what happens in the stars themselves, I think, more than makes up for it. There's a lot of entertaining tricks and skips and stuff you can do and whatnot. So you're in for a treat. This is a very entertaining run, both to watch and to do. Alright, so now I gotta do some more long jumps forward. And on this, in this upcoming sets of text boxes, there is actually potential for a text skip if the game decides to behave. I'm just mashing A. But on this second set of text boxes, if you go slowly on the first two and get the third one frame perfect, which I actually got, oh my goodness, then you can actually skip that fourth one. It really doesn't save that much time, plus it's frame perfect in 60 frames per second, so I don't really go for it, but it's worth bringing up, because sometimes like that, if you're just mashing through it, sometimes you get lucky. And we're going to go right into the first galaxy of the game, Sky Station Galaxy, and the only star we can actually get is Sky Station 1, so let's go ahead and get that started. And right off the bat, we're going to kick up the action here, and things are going to get a lot more active, such as right here, our first sequence break. Just going to jump up to the top of this tower early. And if I stand still after this Luma text box during this portion, then this cutscene ends like half a second earlier. Also, I'm going to talk about this right now. You're going to see the camera kind of twitch here when I land, and you're going to be seeing that happen almost every time I land from a launch star. It's basically what I'm doing is I'm going into first-person mode and exiting it as soon as possible, which cancels the landing animation you get from launch stars. It saves like a second each time you do it. Alright, the trick I just did there is known as Luma Bounce. Basically, with that homing ground pound, you can skip that Luma's launch star, and it takes you all the way over to those planets over there. It saves a whopping grand total of 1 second, and if you fail it, you die. But it's early on in the run. I'd say it's worth going for. Alright, grab our first Comet Medal. And as you just saw there, backwards momentum is very superior to forwards momentum, as is the standard for Mario games. So you're going to be seeing some interesting tricks involving backwards momentum, such as this right here. And with that, we are off to the first boss fight of the run, which is going to be against Kiwi Piranha. Nintendo seems to have a thing with Piranha Plant-style bosses. So Kiwi, you're intended to spin out his shell like 2 or 3 times in order to break it, but that's dumb. So instead, I'm just going to ground pound the thing once, and that shatters the entire thing. Alright. And he kind of got away there. He runs away a lot quicker on the first phase than the second phase, so this second phase should go smoothly. Alright. I stored up some star bits there so I could stun him with those star bits while he was running away. And that is star 1 out of 71. There we go. That was a pretty decent Sky Station 1. Although, granted, the first star, like, even though there's a lot of cool stuff, aside from Luma Bounce, that first split isn't really hard to get out of, unlike most speed games out there. But there are a lot of difficult sections of this run. The first 4 stars are generally the hardest to get out of in runs. At least from my experience. Oh yeah, and now we get a bunch of little text blurs here. So this purple guy is Leva. He's kind of the Rosalina of this game. And, basically what's happening here, since I'm skimming through all this text by just holding A, and basically they ran into Bowser, he stole all their stars and left them with this crappy little spaceship, and now he's going to use the power of this one star to transform this thing into Starship Mario, which is kind of the hub world of the game. Over time, you unlock a bunch of NPCs and other goodies on the starship, but we don't really care about interacting with any of those. Anytime we're on the starship, the only thing we want to do is get to this yellow button on the helm, which takes us to a Super Mario Bros. 3's world map. And that's how we will go from galaxy to galaxy. And from world to world. Alright, so right here, after this text box, I'm going to hold down because this will make Mario face the camera. And this will allow me to just backflip straight to the helm, which is the fastest way to get to the button from the starship. Assuming Mario is already facing the camera and he's on that area of the starship, if Mario isn't facing the camera, usually I just turn him around and then have him backflip to the helm. There's a couple other options, and there are some parts of the run where you won't spawn at the top of the starship, you'll spawn in the bottom or in the engine room, and those have their own ways for getting to the button. So now it's time for the second star, Sky Station 2. This star, I wouldn't say this star is nearly as flashy as Sky Station 1, but there's still a couple of interesting tricks. One thing I'm going to explain here is something I'm going to be doing on these star select screens, where every time there's a clear star, which is those gray stars that haven't been collected yet, I'm actually going to be pointing my Wii Remote off screen and just mashing A, and it will automatically select that star for me. Which makes selecting stars a lot easier because you don't have to point your Wii Remote at the screen. There's some instances where you have to, though. Alright, so at the start here I have a very tight cycle I need to make with this chain zone. Alright, I barely made it. So, and if you miss that, it's only like a couple seconds, but obviously seconds matter. And that stand still to make cutscenes end earlier trick doesn't actually work anywhere else in the game, so I can do whatever I want during these cutscenes, it doesn't matter. Now, starting this planet, we just got a bunch of long jumps. I haven't said this yet, but long jumps are the fastest form of movement when you don't have any special upgrades, and when you need to cover a long distance like that. Right. And here I want to have pretty good movement, so I can get these elevators on the proper cycles. Alright, that was perfectly executed planet. And now we got a couple of flip switch planets here. So the way these things work is you flip the switches and make all of them a different color, and it will unlock something else. In this case, it's more flip switches. And now we've got the first instance of Cosmic Clones. So these guys kind of copy your every move. And they're not so bad here, but in later parts of the run, you're going to be seeing them several times, and they make backtracking insanely hard. Right now we're on the last planet here. So this last planet is fairly straightforward, there's not a whole lot to say about it. So while I'm here, though, I am going to explain something else, because I don't have anything really to explain here. And that's actually a second way to cancel landing animations. So I talked about the camera cancel way of doing it. You can also do it by jumping on a very specific frame when you land. And the reason why I'm bringing this up is because it's not actually possible to camera cancel in all instances, because there's some places where you can't control the camera. And where that's most relevant is actually when you land for the first time in Stars. You have a landing animation, and you can jump out of it. And I'll be going for that on most Stars in this run. But it's frame perfect at 60 frames per second, so if anything, I'll get it like 5 times at best. We'll see. Right here, Lava is actually going to mention co-op mode, So in this game, if you have a second player, they'll take the place of an orange Luma, and the orange Luma can do quite a few things. It can stun enemies, it can kill certain types of enemies, it can hold and collect coins for you, it can grab star bits, it can hit levers from far away. However, I don't have a second person to play with me, and I also am not good at holding 2 Wii remotes at once, so I'm just going to play with one player. It doesn't really matter for this game anyways. Anyways, here's Yoshi Star Galaxy. So Yoshi is by far the most broken thing in this game. And you're going to see why very shortly here. Alright, so right there, I was mashing A so I could potentially get the jump cancel, but I didn't get it there. And so what you would see is instead of that animation where you would just jump out of it, and I can start moving right away. Alright, so basically, with Yoshi, there's a glitch you can do called infinite fluttering. I'm pretty sure that should speak for itself for how broken that sounds. So I'm going to get to demonstrate it here. There's a skip I'm going to be going for that's pretty tricky, so I'm going to kind of focus here. Alright, there we go. Work? Alright, nice. First try. That's actually one of the biggest reset points in this game. That skip is actually really difficult. Alright. I'm very glad I got that. That takes around like 20 seconds and loses around 45 if you die to it. Alright, so infinite fluttering, as you just saw there, can be used to gain across gaps like that, and it can also be used for gaining height, which is what you're going to see here. So how infinite fluttering works is normally when you start a flutter, there's a short little cooldown time that takes place before you're able to flutter again. However, they allow you to crouch during your flutters, and I assume they allowed you to do that so you can dismount in midair. However, when you do this, when you crouch mid-flutter, you cancel not only the flutter, but the cooldown animation. And so you're able to immediately start another flutter, and you can do this as many times as you want, hence the name infinite fluttering. When going up large distances like that, you generally want to be holding an angle that's roughly sideways and sideways to the direction of Yoshi's back. However, if you're in the air for longer than 10 seconds, then Yoshi will automatically lose almost all of that speed, and he can only flutter slowly to the front and side from there on out. Which is why I actually have to dismount Yoshi at the very end of that flutter, because when you dismount off of Yoshi, you maintain all of your momentum. And so sometimes that can be used to gain just a little extra distance from infinite flutters, and I was able to use that extra momentum to enter the gravity field of that planet. Alright, so that was a lot to explain. Now let's get to Yoshi Star 2. Hopefully I explained infinite fluttering well enough, because you're going to be seeing it a lot throughout this run. Such as this star right here. So you're supposed to go through all these different planets and throw spinies at these glass containers to unlock launch stars and whatnot. And that's a jump cancel, by the way. However, what I'm going to be doing instead is, as soon as I get on Yoshi, I'm just going to infinite flutter straight to the boss planet and skip all of that. And this skip is significantly easier, although there is a camera change midway through that's kind of awkward. Alright. Most infinite flutters come down to, once you get the rhythm down for infinite fluttering, because it is a rather tricky rhythm, they come down to just learning what angles you need to hold and at what times. Alright, here's Giga-like Pizza. So this is kind of the first real pointer-based part of the run, because you're supposed to grab these spinies with Yoshi's tongue and then throw them back at him. And your sensor bar has to be behaving during this fight. Alright, so here I'm trying to do a pretty useless glitch, where if you uncrouch and spin on the same frame, you can get Yoshi in this little sliding animation. For speedruns, it's completely useless, but there's downtime there, so I might as well show it off. Alright. So what I did there is I hit both of those spinies once, then threw the first spiny at Giga-like Pizza, and then threw the second one before the first one made contact. And that allows me to get the spiny in Yoshi's mouth for the third phase. And so I can just throw it at the start of that phase without having to wait for Giga-like Pizza to throw any more spinies. Go save 50 seconds. And that's that star. So this one's actually off to a pretty good start. Something I haven't mentioned yet, because I haven't really gotten the chance to, is that after every star, you probably notice there's this little time in the lower right-hand corner. That's actually the IL time for that level that you got. And so those are actually pretty useful if you're wanting to, grind ILs or if you're practicing for consistency. Those are really good to keep track of, so it's really nice that the game gives you those. Right. Now it is time for Spin Dig Galaxy. So we're introduced to the first of Mario's actual power-ups in this galaxy, aka this one's going to be the Spin Drill. So with the Spin Drill, you spin while you have it, and you can dig from one side of the planet and end up on the other, assuming you're able to do so. It's a pretty neat concept, and you're supposed to be using it on almost every planet here. But the thing Nintendo forgot when designing this level is that you can jump. So you're going to be seeing a lot of skips in this star that are just, I use jumps to get up to areas that you would normally need the Spin Drill to do. So like right here, for instance, I'm just going to triple jump up here instead of using the drill. I'm also going to be grabbing some star bits for later on. On this next planet, you're going to be seeing me do a homing ground pound into this Spin Drill, which you actually saw me do for Lima Bounce. So a homing ground pound is basically a spin followed by a ground pound, and it will home in onto the nearest item, enemy, or NPC. And I use it to get some momentum off that spin drill there. Going on my way here to kill this comment. I'm going to do a couple jumps here to give myself a little bit more speed. I'm going to jump backwards into the corner of this pillar, which kind of makes Mario clip inside of it, and it just saves a few seconds of walking. So you probably noticed by now that I've been trying to avoid coins and star bits. I've been spinning out star bits whenever I can. And the reason why is actually because if you complete a star with coins or star bits in your inventory, there's these little 1-second text boxes that appear after the star is complete. And you want to avoid those whenever possible. And if you're wondering where I'm going to be getting all my star bits from for the run, you'll find out. Anyway, so here's a pretty hilarious skip. So I don't want to talk to Captain Toad here, so I'm just going to go into first person mode and shoot him in the face. And that just skips that. And so yeah. Alright, so here's Dig-a-Leg. So this boss is kind of the first major instance of RNG in the run. It's not a huge deal if I get good RNG, or bad RNG, but it could matter by a couple seconds. So on these upcoming phases, I'm going to be kind of hugging him like this, and I want him to jump on top of me, like that, because that'll make him jump all the way to the other side of the battlefield, and now he's going to immediately become vulnerable. If possible, I also want to keep these yellow Digga enemies alive, because if I'm able to do so, he won't spawn anymore when it's time for him to become vulnerable. Oh, he didn't jump on me. I'm just going to kind of way off to the side here, because sometimes that will manipulate him into stopping sooner. And I don't exactly know why. Alright. That was an okay Dig-a-Leg. Could have gone better, could have gone worse. And instead of walking all the way over to the star, I'm just going to drill straight to it. Easy as that. So this is going to be the first instance here of Mario being brought to the bottom of the starship. This is usually what happens when there's like a new NPC or unlockable thing on the starship. And in this case, we're unlocking the Starshroom and the Toads. And like I said earlier, we don't actually care about that. We're just going to go straight to the button after we clear through these text boxes. And I'm grabbing those star bits because those don't waste time to get. And they're in my way, so I might as well. Alright, so the next galaxy I'm going to go to is Right Side Down. So this galaxy is actually pretty neat. It's a neat concept where the game kind of tests your knowledge on how gravity works in this game. So there's arrows in this galaxy, and if they're pointing up in a red sector, then gravity's on the ceiling. If they're pointing down in a blue sector, then gravity's on the floor. However, I like to say Right Side Down 1, which is the star I'm going to be doing first. This is the level Nintendo meant for you to break, because there's a bunch of conveniently placed items and objects and whatnot, and platforms that allow you to skip really easy sections of this. They allow you to easily skip sections of this level. So first we got this cool backflip, which if I do this right will take me all the way to this flower down here. And the game intends for me to hit this gravity switch here, but there's a conveniently placed item block right here that I can use to go all the way down to this section of the level. I'm gonna go for another slope boost here. Got it. And here's another place where the game wants me to hit a gravity switch, but once again, these elevators are conveniently placed right next to where I need to go. Right there. So that's already 2 really big skips. Now we're going to get the Fire Flower for the first time ever. And here I'm going to be doing a quick fireball making strat, where as I'm making these fireballs, I'm actually spamming Z. And what this is doing is allowing me to make fireballs quicker because it's actually canceling the fireball making animation. So right there, I'm both shaking the Wii Remote rapidly and spamming Z, and that allows me to make these fireballs quickly. Here's another pretty neat skip that was kind of overlooked. Oh. I mistimed my triple jump because I wasn't paying too much attention. That's a very short death because it was right after a checkpoint. That only cost me like 10 seconds maybe, if that. Alright, let's just see. Okay, that was unfair. I don't know what to say about that. Alright, let's not die this time. There we go. That's what I meant to do. So yeah, you can just kind of go up here and skip over that entire section. And you're actually supposed to be able to go up there because there's one-ups in the 4 corners. Alright. That was really dumb, but whatever. Worse things have happened. Alright. So now I'm actually going to be going back into Right Side Down, and I'm going to be collecting the secret or hidden star of the galaxy. And because there's no other available stars for me to collect, I have to have my Wii Remote pointed at the screen to select this star. And also I'm going to be able to skip the cutscenes because I've already seen them, which is a nice thing Nintendo does for the Galaxy games. So I'm just going to be mashing A through these. So I'll do this back up again, and I'm going to skip this gravity lever this time by using this portal momentum jump. And I was actually able to skip the wall jump there. In order to do that, you just have to... you basically have to hold neutral as soon as you land and jump as soon as you land. And you're able to get that huge boost to your jump. Alright, so here's this box burning minigame. You have to burn these boxes in a 20-second time limit. I'm actually kind of bad at this, so I'll probably screw up a lot. Alright, a 10 is not too bad. I probably could have shot the last box a little earlier. But that box minigame is actually really hard. There's a ton of awkward angles you have to throw them at. That's that star done. An optimal time for me is usually like an 11. You can get as good as like a 13 or something if you're really good, but I'm bad at the box minigames, so gotta aim for whatever I can. Alright, so now that we have 7 stars, this lovely little guy called the Bank Toad's gonna appear. Keep him in mind for later. He's gonna be important. Alright, up next we've got Fluffy Bluff Galaxy, which introduces us to the next power-up, the Cloud Flower. And this has its own set of broken physics. So basically with the Cloud Flower you get 3 clouds, and every time you spin, you make a cloud, and you can use this to cross over large gaps that even a long jump can't cross. But, again, there's a bunch of broken physics that this power-up allows for. So for this first one, I'm going to be doing the Secret Star. I'm going to be collecting 100 coins to beat a Hungry Llama. Weirdly enough, this is actually the first Hungry Llama star you can get in the game, but it requires the most coins. But there's fortunately like 2 sets of... There's virtually 2 areas with a huge amount of coins that make this really easy. Such as this pipe room right here, I'm able to get around 60 from here. I have to be pretty quick here though. If I let these coins run out, then I actually have to abandon this star and do another star. Yeah, I'm going to read this pipe room with exactly 60, and then I'm going to get the remaining 40 from the cloud where the Hungry Llama is. And that'll bring me to 100. which is exactly what I need. I actually have to make sure I don't miss any of these either, otherwise I have to go back down and get backup points, and that's really annoying. There we go. So now, after we feed this hungry limo a bunch of coins, it's gonna burst with snacky happiness and transform into a planet. Video game logic, I guess. Can't argue with it. And we're gonna be climbing up this tower really quickly using a bunch of different cloud mechanics. So I'm just gonna kind of let this speak for itself. So there are actually several things I was doing with Cloud Mario there. So, first of all, when you make a cloud, and you crouch as soon as you make the cloud, you can cancel the cloud making animation, and that allows you to not only move automatically, but it also allows you to kind of abuse the upward bounce that the cloud has. Because there's a mechanic in this game where if the platform underneath you is moving upwards and you jump, your jump will actually gain a lot more height, and so you can use that with clouds and abuse it in a bunch of different ways. That's kind of the main thing that goes into making clouds quickly. So now I'm going to be doing Fluffy Bluff 1. And this scar also has a really big skip in it. That's actually pretty easy to do. So I'm going to be getting Cloud Mario. I'm going to be going up to this tree where you're actually not even supposed to go in this star. And now I'm going to be using I'm going to be long jumping off the corner here. And with a couple of well-placed clouds, I'm going to be able to go all the way to the last planet of the galaxy. Just like that. So here I'm going to be using a technique called cloud boosting, where if you make a cloud while grounded, and then long jump from the ground, then because of the cloud's upward bounce, you actually gain a lot more height and distance from your jump. Like that. So I've used that a lot there. Also here's the Chimp. He's kind of an important guy. You'll be seeing him a few more times. Alright. Another thing that actually went into that big skip you saw, that's another cool thing about Cloud Mario, is that if you're long jumping from the center of a cloud over a pit while you have Cloud Mario, your jump actually goes really fast, and you'll gain a lot more distance than you normally would be able to. And so you'll be seeing me use that a couple of times when I have Cloud Mario. Also, here's the first time we're brought down to the engine room, so Lava brings us down here a few times to look at power-ups. You can't actually use them, you can just look at them. So, I don't know what the purpose of the room is, but, I don't know. Bonus content, I guess. And again, we don't care, we just want to get to the button as soon as possible. Alright, so now I'm going to be heading off to the first boss level. So there's 6 worlds in any percent that we're going to be going through. Each of them has a boss level we have to complete. They alternate between Bowser Jr. and Bowser levels, and most of them are pretty difficult. This one in particular, because in addition to having the stage where I have to make a pretty tight Womp cycle at the start here, the boss is also very difficult to do fast. Alright, so I'm going to try to focus here until I get to the Swamp. Alright. Okay, I nearly could have died there, but I managed to save it. Alright, so I would have made that like a cycle earlier, but my spin was not timed properly. Anyways, and because this planet's gravity field is huge, we're just gonna long jump into it. Great. So up next is Gobblegut. So with this boss, you're supposed to have him bury his face into the planet, and as the bellyache bolt just kind of gets stuck in the planet as he passes by, you're supposed to spin at them. However, you can actually attack him while he's in the air. And with this strat I'm going to be going for, you want nothing to go wrong, because any missed input could cost you up to like 20 seconds. This is a very hard boss to do quickly, so I'm actually going to kind of try and focus here for a little bit. So I'm going to try to get the 5th, 6th, and 1st bulges here respectively. Alright, that was the perfect first phase. So now at the start of the second phase, I'm going to be running downwards in a straight line to make him kind of follow me and get closer and closer to the planet. And at a specific point, I'm going to turn around and try to get the last 3 goldens back to after that. That's 2. That's gold number 3. And that's gold number 4. That was a perfect gobble gut. That went really well. But here's the best part. I actually have to fight this boss twice in this run. So, the game gets one more chance to show me how bad of a boss gobble gut can be. And that's it for World 1. Other than those 2 deaths on right side down, that was actually pretty decent World 1. I'm very happy with how that went, other than the 2 stupid right side down 1 deaths, but it happens. And I hope you like this cutscene, because you're going to be seeing it after every single world, except for World 6, because afterwards you finish the game. And this is kind of the in-between worlds transition, so Lava's usually going to have something to say. So each of the boss levels actually holds a Grand Star, and these Grand Stars are what allow you to progress from world to world. And with that, we are off to World 2 out of 6. And this world is actually a pretty quick world. We only get 7 stars in this segment, and for the most part there isn't anything too crazy, but there are a couple of big things here and there that we'll get to. So starting off, we're going to go to Puzzle Planet Galaxy. And other than having some pretty fire music, this entire game has a pretty fire soundtrack overall. There isn't actually that much to this level. There's a couple of small skips here and there, and also this planet right here that you see right now, also has some weird physics. But for the most part, this level is fairly straightforward. Alright, I didn't get the jump missing there. So on this next planet, there's a small little skip I'm going to go for, where you skip having to pounce some platforms on the bottom side by just backwards and and stuff. Again, Nintendo always forgets you can jump. So weirdly, with spins in this game, when you're playing as Mario, which you do for the entirety of any percentage, you want to be spinning with the Wii Remote. If you're ever playing as Luigi, you actually want to be spinning with the nunchuck to gain more height from your spins. But with either character, you want to be holding A when you spin, because otherwise you're missing out on some really good height. And sometimes that height does make the difference. So now I'm coming up on that puzzle planet I was talking about earlier. So this planet has really weird gravity. And so sometimes it's actually possible to pound these pieces more than once with just a single ground pound. It's not really known why that happens, and there's no consistent method to do it. I didn't get any there, but sometimes you just do one ground pound and the platform goes in twice. It's very finicky, but it happens sometimes. And also, to finish off the star, we get a cool little mini boss fight. That's really easy. Yeah. I meant to long jump there, so I'm just gonna ground pound and then long jump to the star. That's another common thing with this run. You're gonna be seeing me ground pound whenever I need to fall a large distance, because when you ground pound, you actually fall really fast in this game. It's useful in a lot of situations, it can be bad in others, but hopefully that won't ever have to come up. Alright, so coming up, there's a bit of an unskippable world map sequence where Lava's going to talk about the grand world map. So these individual world maps allow you to travel from galaxy to galaxy. The grand world map actually allows you to travel from world to world. So, and it's actually going to be used a few times throughout this one. Let's say I'm in World 5 and I want to get to World 1. I can just open the grand world map and go straight from World 5 to World 1 without having to backtrack through the entirety of every single world. Because obviously that would take a long time, and we don't have time for any of that. Alright, now we've got Hightail Falls, which is probably one of the coolest looking levels, and is really fun both to speedrun and also to watch. here we're going to be introduced to the Dash Pepper, which makes Yoshi go really, really fast, and also you can climb up walls. Pretty cool. I'm also going to be grabbing some Star Bits during the start, because you can't spit out Star Bits while you're on Yoshi, so I might as well. So the Dash Pepper's effects actually last between launch stars, so I'm going to try to be preserving this effect for as long as I can. Because, again, since it makes Yoshi go really, really fast, I want to be able to go as fast as much as possible. So I'm going to be running up this left path here. It's a lot harder to run up this left path, but there's a Dash Pepper here that I want, because I want to go fast. And I'm also going to be trying to grab that and the next Dash Pepper a little bit late, because then I just want to extend its effect for as long as possible. And you can do these cool jumps at the edges of these ramps here. You get a lot of height from these jumps. It doesn't really save or lose time, and it looks cool, so I will show it off. Here's the easiest infinite flutter skip in the game. This is actually, you actually don't have to crouch cancel for any of these flutters. You can just let the cooldown run in between each flutter, and you can still make it, and you don't even have to dismount from Yoshi. And then I gotta get this component metal. And here's a cool little strat here. So if you're wondering what just happened there, recall earlier when I said that when you dismount off of Yoshi, you maintain all momentum you have going into the dismount. So let's say you're on Dash Yoshi and you're dismounting while going up a really steep slope. You're going to gain a lot of height and distance. So basically I use that to just fling myself right into the star. And it works really cool and saves a lot of time. By the way, I haven't mentioned this yet, and it's going to be relevant later on, hopefully. Or hopefully not. But just so anybody's aware, if you run into a wall while you're running up a really steep slope, you fall all the way down and you lose a lot of time. So hopefully that doesn't happen when we come back to the comment. And we'll get into comments later. But for now, it's time for Cosmic Hope Galaxy. One of the more relaxing galaxies. It's got that soothing music going. But it's actually also a really interesting galaxy in terms of routing. And I'll explain that in a little bit. But during this first star, I'm going to be collecting 15 coins to feed a hungry Luma. So I'm going to do at the start here is I'm going to head over to this area with the Koopa and these 8 Star Bits. I'm going to be grabbing these 8 Star Bits as a shell so I can go underwater with the shell. And if you kill these guys with these little worm enemies with Star Bits instead of just shining the shells light at them, then you can get coins from them instead of Star Bits, which is really useful. I'm going to be doing this twice. Alright. That was alright. So, if you've ever watched a speedrun of Galaxy 1, you probably know that underwater spinning is really, really fast in that game. In this game, there is actually a cooldown in between spins, which makes swimming with the shell actually a little bit faster. And plus, you have to do less exercise, which all gamers like to do. And plus, you can do little jumps out of the water and whatnot. Alright, so the way routing works for this level is that... Oh, I meant to land on the platform there. The way routing works in this level is, because of the way everything's positioned, it's actually faster and more beneficial to feed the Hungry Luma while doing Cosmic Hope 1, and then just do the Secret Star separately, instead of going straight to the Hungry Luma's planet from here. So I'm going to be feeding this Hungry Luma, but I'm not going to be taking its launch star. Instead, I'm going to head over to the waterfalls and get that star instead. And these waterfalls can be weird. There's been highlights of people who've just been unable to wall jump up these waterfalls for no good reason. A lot of weird stuff has happened in the Galaxy games, and we don't really have good explanations for it. Alright, so that was a pretty decent Cosmic Hope 1 overall, but now comes one of the most important parts of the entire run, not selecting Cosmic Hope 2. So as I said earlier, when you point your Wii Remote off screen, and press A during a star select screen, if there is a gray star, it will automatically select it. I actually don't want to do that here, because otherwise I'll select Cosmic Hope 2, and I don't have access to the areas I need to have access for. So, I would have to sit through all the opening animations, then exit the galaxy, go back in, and then reselect the galaxy. So instead of doing that, I'm just going to point my Wii remote at the screen and select Cosmic Club 1. Like that. And that'll allow me to do the Secret Star. So I'm going to just kind of travel the water here. I'm going to get the shell and make a direct beeline for where the long star is. I'm also going to be picking up some star bits along the way. For reasons I will get to later. And reasons that will become evident very soon, as a matter of fact. Alright, so once again, I'm using the shell to do a little jump out of the water here. Alright, that was actually a little bit early. And now say hello to the only bunny in the entire game that you have to catch. There's a few more of these in Galaxy 1. But I'm going to try to do a quick catch on this guy. Alright, got it. So what you're supposed to do is hit ground pound the switch to freeze the lake, and then skate to catch the bunny. But if you stun that bunny with star bits right there, for some reason he runs the wrong direction. And so you can use that to catch the bunny without having to skate, which saves several seconds. Alright. So we're done with Cosmic Cove now. Alright, so next I'm going to be going to Boulder Bowl Galaxy. I actually technically could have gone to this galaxy earlier, and the reason why I didn't is because I want to collect Boulder Bowl 1 as my 15th star to cause an overlapping of events on the starship, which will end up saving time when it comes time to transition to the next star. And in terms of Boulder Bowl 1 itself, it's a pretty big gravity exploit I can use to skip an entire planet that's normally really slow and really boring because you have to kill a bunch of enemies. And you're going to be seeing this skip done two different ways in this run, one with Rock Mario and one without Rock Mario. With Rock Mario, it's harder, but I have to do it on this star because I need to get the Comet Medal, and the only way to do that is with Rock Mario, and then I can't actually use Rock Mario after that. So I'm going to head over here to get the Comet Medal. Now I'm going to head over to the ramp to do the skip. This skip is fairly precise, but there's a pretty good setup for it, and I have a visual cue for it. So basically I'm just going to launch it off the left and spin it over side time to enter the gravity field. And I got it. So again, I'm just skipping one planet, but that skip probably saves like, I don't know, a minute. Probably more than that. Because that planet is, again, supposed to be really, really long and annoying. And now it's time for one of the worst bosses in the run for me, and that's Rolladillo. So you attack this guy by rolling into his back, and this first hit is simple enough. But for these next 3 hits, I have to be careful to not get in his line of sight, otherwise he'll do this rolling attack that wastes a lot of time. So what I'm actually going to be doing is I'm going to roll and try to chase him from behind. But this is really awkward because he's trying to chase you while you're trying to chase him. And so it's not exactly trivial. And also I'm doing these jump rolls to extend the length of my roll. And sometimes this planet's gravity is so bad it will actually just eat your jumps for no good reason. And 9 out of 10 times when that happens, you end up in his line of sight and you lose like 10 to 15 seconds. It's really annoying. But that was a perfectly executed fight. So I'm really happy with that. And usually, like, it's not a huge deal if you have to cancel one of the rolls early. As long as he doesn't end up seeing you, you're not going to lose that much time. So here's the overlapping of events I was talking about earlier. So because I got Boulder Bowl 1, it's going to take me down to the engine room. However, since I also got 15 stars, I'm going to get a letter from the mail toad. And so what's going to happen is it's going to take me straight from the engine room to the mail toad, which will save me a few seconds of travel time. And conveniently, that's actually also going to place me right next to the bank toad, which is where I want to go next. And because this is where I'm going to be getting all my Starbits from for the run. So this is actually technically a New Game Plus sort of thing, because technically these are Starbits from another file. However, this is basically the standard for Galaxy 2 speedruns. Most people don't want to bother farming Starbits in levels. And I need that exact amount. Well, not exactly, but I'll be getting a few more to make up for what the ones I didn't get. And these star bits I'm going to be using to unlock all the Hungry Luma galaxies throughout the run. And it might seem kind of weird why I'm unlocking these in the first place, because, like, it takes a long time to unlock these Hungry Luma galaxies, because you have to defeat these Hungry Lumas, and there's a bunch of cutscenes that go along with it. And there's other stars I could get in their place, but the thing is, most Hungry Luma galaxies are home to actually some pretty fast stars, and so they're definitely worth going out of the way to unlock. And the same thing actually applies to comets, because I'm going out of my way to collect a bunch of comet medals, but to unlock comets, but the thing is, a lot of comet stars are really fast, and so it's definitely worth it. Anyways, here's Honey Bloom Galaxy. This is going to be my case-in point for Hungry Luma galaxies having fast stars. Because there's a really, really fast star located actually right at the very beginning of this level. And I'm just going to let this speak for itself. Hopefully that was good enough for you. So yeah, that's what I was talking about. Like, that star took me only 16 seconds, and I can verify that by the IL time, as a matter of fact. And so it was definitely worth unlocking that Hungry Luma Galaxy, because that's a really, really fast star. And that star, and I accidentally had a star bit in my inventory so that you saw that text box. That's what you're skipping by not collecting star bits in levels. So here's another overlapping of events. This one isn't as major. Basically, you have 16 stars. That sign next to the helm appears. And once you collect this star, this D appears. I don't care about either of those. Alright, so now it's time for the first Bowser level, Bowser's Lava Lair. This is actually a pretty interesting level because there aren't any, like, huge skips where you skip you're not necessarily skipping the entire level or anything, but, like, there's a bunch of small sequence breaks everywhere that, in my opinion, just make this an exciting watch from beginning to end. That's part of the charm in this game, is that there's no major skips, but there's a lot of really small time savers that just add up over the course of the run. And it's what makes this, it's why I like this game so much. So, right at the start here, I'm supposed to kill a Kamek to make a whole star here. And I got another jump cancel. So I'm going to say to heck with that, and just long jump into the gravity field of this planet instead. And here I'm going to skip this spring once again by just side flipping into this gravity field. Now I'm going to grab this life mushroom, because I'm going to be doing a lot of damage abuse throughout this star. And there's also skip at the end that requires me to have at least 4 HP. However, it's actually important that I don't go below 4 health from this point on, because otherwise I can't get that extra 3 health back. Alright, so here I'm going to do a little lava boost strat to skip a Hammer Bros fight. And this could be where I lose my extra bars of health, but it's not going to be, because I'm going to make this. Nice. There's a bunch of different ways you can get this common medal here. I'm just going to do it with a standard triple jump. And sometimes I get a ledge grab from that little womp. Other times I have to wall jump off of it. Sometimes I can get it with a triple jump spin. It really just depends. So here comes the skip that I need the 4 HP for. I'm going to be skipping a bunch of Snake Block auto scrollers. I'm going to let you see what happens first, and then I'll explain it afterwards. So I'm going to long jump into the lava here. Lava boost here. Oh boy, this is not good. Uh-oh. Alright. I saved that. Nice. I don't know how I did that, but we're gonna roll with it. So what was supposed to happen is, I land on the first statue and then land in the lava again. And then I can land on the second statue and begin long jumping across the statue, because normally when you land on the lava once, when you bounce on lava and then hit the ground again, you do a short little hop, and then after that bounce, you're able to regain control of Mario. But if you do the bounce and then land in the lava again, and then land on ground again, then it's saved the fact that you did the bounce, so you'll be able to move immediately. But my spacing was really bad there, and I spun way too early, so I wasn't able to show that off exactly, but I still managed to pull it off. If I died to that, there are several other backup strats I could have gone for, including an alternate version of that skip that only requires 3 HP. Anyways, here is our first fight against the big man himself. Bowser fights in this game aren't anywhere near as interesting as they are in Galaxy 1. Basically, Bowser's gonna spawn some meteors, and he's gonna slam his fist into the planet and get stuck. And then you just ground pound the meteors into him, and you have to do this a total of 4 times. This fight in particular isn't very interesting, but there are some later on that will have more things involved in them. And I am trying to optimize these hits, though, so I'm having Bowser punch as close to the meteor as he can, and then I'm also trying to have the meteor travel the least amount of distance to Bowser's body, which actually does save. It's very subtle, but it does save time. Alright, so I was kind of moving away there because Bowser can't actually punch out the meteors. So I wasn't sure if he would punch out that one or not, but he didn't. So this fire attack, I actually kind of want to pay attention to where it ends, because that's where Bowser's going to start aiming his next punch. And if I'm where Bowser's going to start punching, he'll punch right away. I don't know how any of those meteors didn't break. Alright, that was actually a really good Bowser fight. All 4 of my hits were actually pretty fast. Now I just gotta sit through a couple more text boxes and we'll be good to go. If there's a donation you wanna read, that's fine.
Sure, we've got a $60 donation from Garby.
Sure, we've got a $60 donation from Garby, who you may remember as reading, oh, hang on, sorry. I forgot about how streaming works, don't mind me. We have a $60 donation from Garby, who says, $5 for each location reset in Katamari. Thanks for the opportunity to show off my runs. This community is awesome, and I'm glad to have been able to have been a part of this great cause. Thank you very much, Garby.
So, next up is World 3, as counting works, but World 3 is where I'd say this run really starts to pick up in terms of difficulty, because World 3 is where the harder tricks start to come into play, and mistakes are going to start becoming really big from here on out. Like, most mistakes, most bad mistakes can cost anywhere from like 30 seconds to even a minute. So, let's hope nothing happens. The first star I'm going to be doing is Cloudy Court 1, which you're going to be seeing a bit more cloud boosting action. It's going to be a lot of fun. For the most part, this star doesn't have too much going for it. It's fairly self-explanatory. Except for there's going to be some crushers at the very end of the star that are operating on cycles. And there's a common medal located in the middle of them, and I want that common medal. So what I'm going to try to do is I'm going to try to navigate through the crushers and grab the common medal without having to wait for them to shut and open again. I have a pretty decent setup for it, but if you screw it up, you do die. Because if you get crushed in this game, it's a one-hit kill. So I'll kind of touch base on it again when I get there. So here I'm going to be doing 4 cloud strats, where I'm going to be cloud boosting into that cloud flower, which replenishes my cloud stock, and it allows me to reuse the remaining 3 clouds to cross over that gap. So I essentially used 4 clouds and 1 will go through there. Here I'm skipping a launch star by just, again, traveling over this gap of clouds. This Octumba is the worst enemy known to mankind, but he did not try to snipe you, so we're good. Alright, so now we're going to head to this 2D section here, even though this is a 3D platformer. I'm going to do another 4 cloud strat here. And the crushers are going to be coming up here after I cross over this wall here. So I'm going to kind of be quiet here for a little bit. The setup is fairly consistent, and I think I've already screwed it up. Okay, I barely made it. So yeah, that's the one cycle. Using the one cloud setup, as I have deemed it. There are many different setups for that, but that's the setup I use. It's actually very easy to learn. And a 108 is still a really good time for that level for me, so that's still acceptable. Alright, up next is Freezy Flake's Secret. And this is, we're going to see that chimp guy, and he's going to challenge us to a skating minigame. And the minigame is on a fixed timer duration. There's no way to make it go any faster. And it doesn't lose time to go for as high of a score as possible. So, chat, if you have any guesses for what I'm going to get on this minigame, here are the rules. You can guess anywhere between 500 and 900 points, since you need 500 to win the game, and it's really hard to not win the game. And I'm not going to get anything better than 900. And I'm only guessing multiples of 10, so like 540, 610, 720, stuff like that. Proto, you got any guesses?
At least 7. Got him.
Fair. Alright, so the secret is in this little hidden pipe right here. And here's our chimp guy. Alright, so for this skating minigame, there's 2 of these you're going to be seeing me do in the run. The patterns aren't actually RNG, but they can be rotated 1 of 4 different ways, and that's RNG. Fortunately, I have a pretty good idea on what all 4 rotations are like, so there's not going to be like any surprises here. I say that, and then I kind of let muscle memory take over. And as you can see, the green things give you 10 points, and the gold ones give you 50, and those spiky ones will... You don't want to hit those, because they just waste your time. But as you can see, like, I've already made the high score, so... Alright, 680. That's actually pretty bad for me. I can usually... On a good day, I can get somewhere in, like, the 800s. And if you didn't get to do it on that first minigame, it's okay. There's another one later on where you'll get to try it. So, not all hope is lost. Alright. Up next is Freezy Flake 1. This star is also not... There's not, like, any major skips in this star or anything, but there is one noteworthy thing about this star, and that's that for a good portion of this star, I'm going to actually be on a timer. And on a pretty strict one at that, involving these fire flowers. Alright, that's not going to work. Yeah, I didn't think it would work. Actually, that might have worked if I had waited long enough. That's hilarious. Alright, so I'm going to try to make it to the comet medal in the next section of the level. That bunny deserved it. With this fire flower. And this is pretty tight, but I do have like a second or 2 of leniency. And the movement is not very hard at all. So the comet medal is just in this little block of ice here. As you can see, like, I still have like a second left to spare. Okay, that guy just got hurt for no good reason. Oh. I need to back up. So this is actually kind of problematic because I don't know if I'll have enough time left to... I should be fine. Alright, I was just barely fast enough. So yeah, just for reference, if I had missed that comet medal block, I would have had to wait for another fire flower to spawn, and then I would have had to get the comet medal, and then wait for the next one to spawn, which takes like 20 extra seconds. And then do that, because it's pretty much nearly impossible to get the comet medal, and then make it all the way to that Bowser statue world out. But I'm sure it's doable, but it's definitely not something you want to try. Anyway, here's Luigi. I'm sure you've probably seen this guy before. And goodbye. So, from this point onwards, Luigi's going to start appearing at the start of various stars. You're going to be seeing him a few times, and you can talk to him and switch to playing him. And Luigi does run faster and jump higher than Mario, which makes him a lot more beneficial in some situations. However, it takes time to talk to Luigi, and you only get to use him for that one star. And then afterwards, Luigi talks to you again, so it wastes more time to use him than it would save. So you're never going to be seeing me use Luigi in this run. You can switch to him and between him and Mario freely, but only after you beat Bowser's Galaxy Generator, which is kind of the point of this run. Okay, that was fun. However, if the perfect run is met, then you'll be able to see him. Alright, so Honey Hall's 1. This is your spooky ghost level. Actually, the first of them. And these first two sets of platforms are on cycles. Not a whole lot you can do about them. The next two sets of platforms after this, though, are actually on based on trigger zones. So once you enter a certain radius, then the platforms will spawn. So like right there. And again, because you can long jump, you don't actually have to wait for these platforms. You just jump across the gaps. Alright, and this common metal platform is weird. Its timing is actually dependent on like when you enter the launch star. There's a really good video by YoshiFan28 that goes into emphasis on those platform cycles. And also, we get Yoshi in this section here, so I bet you can guess what we're going to do. I don't even think I need to talk about it at this point. Alright, so something very important just happened, and that's that I got the 4th star from World 3. Which means that from this point onwards, comets are going to start appearing. And comets are basically like modified versions of levels, so some of them you have to do in a timer, some of them you have to do with only 1 bit of health. Others you have to kill a bunch of enemies in a time limit. Some of them you have cosmic clones. There's a good variety of them. Comets in this game are actually a lot less complicated than in Galaxy 1. Because in order to unlock a comet, all you need is the comet medal for that galaxy and a certain number of comet medals total. So, for example, Cloudy Core, which I'm going to be doing now, only requires 1 comet medal, and I already have a comet medal for this galaxy. And I'm actually going to be collecting a total of 32 comet medals in this run. The one that has the highest requirement is Bowser's Bowser's Gravity Gauntlet. Sorry. Names. And again, most comet stars are really fast, so they're definitely worth doing. So this star, basically, you just have to deal with a bunch of cosmic clones. They're somewhat annoying. Although this first section, if I can just barely touch the edge of each of... Okay, I didn't get it. If you just barely touch the edge of each of these starships, then you can actually prevent the cosmic clones from spawning altogether. Which doesn't really save or lose any time, but it's pretty neat to show off because of that. But I unfortunately touched the second one too close to it. Alright, now here we get to the fun part, and by fun I mean you don't want to screw this part up, because since this is a 2D section and it involves wall jumping, if you fall down while attempting these wall jumps, the cosmic clones basically make it impossible to get back up. And so you basically just kind of have to die. But we made it through alright. Alright, so from this point onwards, I'm going to be kind of letting the comets build up in Worlds 1 and 2, and I'll be making several different backtracking trips over the course of the run to clean up comets in earlier worlds when I need to. So like right here, and comets are going to, and something I want you to keep in mind for later is that comets are going to spawn in the order of least amount of comet medals required to most. So Yoshi Star's comet only requires 2, so that's why that one spawns next. Anyways, up next is Tall Trunk 1, and Tall Trunk is a pretty complicated level. It's really hard to nail all the tricks in this level, but this is also a really fun star, and one that I think is really satisfying to pull off when done correctly. So on this first planet, you're supposed to use the Blimp Yoshi and the Blimp Fruit to climb up the tree, but the Blimp Fruit is slow, and so is Infinite Fluttering upwards. And since Mario is a really skilled acrobat, I can just use his various jumps and whatnot to climb up this tree without Yoshi. So, sorry Yoshi, but I'm too good for you. But don't worry, we'll be using him on the next planet. It's okay. It's just that one planet. And it saves a few seconds, so it pays off. Alright, so right off the bat, I have a really awkward comet metal grab here, because infinite fluttering straight backwards is actually really tight. So if I was too low for that comet metal and I had to flutter forwards to get it, I actually would lose my ability to flutter backwards. So I would have had to go out the through and through, and that would have obviously been a pretty big time loss. Alright, so I'm dismounting off of Yoshi here, not only to make getting to the launch star quicker, but also so I can do a ground pound at the start of this planet to get down this gap. And, okay, that was weird. And Yoshi will just be in his egg ready for him. And unfortunately here, I have no better alternative but to use the blink for it to get up. So, it's just going to be a few seconds of slowly floating to the top. Right here, you're going to be seeing me shake out of blink mode early, and I'm going to be doing that with the nunchuck. Just so I can have my cursor still pointed at that other blimp fruit, so I don't have to deal with it spazzing out on me or anything. And I don't like Yoshi, so I'm just gonna ditch him. Or not. Yoshi got his revenge. He finally gets his time in the spotlight. Anyway. By the way, if I ever drop Yoshi in a pit, he doesn't actually die. He just turns into an egg at the death berry and then respawns somewhere else. So, I'm not killing Yoshi. Alright. Also, something I want to explain that you saw me do at the start of that Blimford planet was a frame perfect ground pound where I ground pounded out of the long jump. You have to spin and ground pound on the same frame, which is again frame perfect at 60 frames per second and relies on motion controls. And it's the only way you can ground pound out of the long jump. And you'll be seeing me try to go for those a few times. In fact, you've already seen me go for a couple of them. Anyways, here's Honey Halls 2. Speaking of long jumps, this is basically Long Jump Simulator 2010. This entire star is basically just a bunch of long jumps. And a few spins here and there. So this star is mostly just going to be about taking corners as tightly as possible, cutting corners whenever I can. You might not believe this, but long jumping in this game, there's actually a lot more that goes into doing it fast than you might think. If you're starting a long jump from running, like I'm doing there, you actually want to press Z and A at roughly the same time, because Mario won't enter the crouch animation before he does the long jump, so like right there, he didn't do the crouch animation, and so he doesn't like stop for a brief moment when he lands, assuming you're gonna enter into running again. And also for chaining long jumps like this, there is a small frame window where you can long jump without having Mario pause on the ground for a brief moment. So I have to be keeping track of that and kind of mashing A every time I long jump on the ground. And also with long jumping, you can actually kind of change your angle in between long jumps, which is a very nice feature. Yeah, that star is pretty much straightforward. Literally. Alright, so next up we're going to be going to the next Hungry Luma Galaxy, Beat Block. Beat Block's Hungry Luma is actually kind of weird. For whatever reason, the last star bit always shoots out late. And that's actually kind of useful because since you can move while feeding Hungry Lumas, you can set up a backflip so that you can get to the helmet a couple seconds quicker. And so it makes the backflip much easier to time. So I'm just going to be kind of waiting here. And that pause just makes it so that the backflip is much easier. I have a little bit more leniency with it. I don't think I'm going to land right on the button though, so I'm probably going to have to walk a little bit. Alright, nice. I did. Alright, so Beat Block's gimmick, most Hungry Luma Galaxies have a specific gimmick to them, is there's these yellow and green blocks, and it switches between the yellow blocks and the green blocks being active every 8 beats of the song in this star. So this star is actually very, very cycle-based, and making the fastest cycle is actually somewhat tight. Although I am going to actually play it a little slow in this section on purpose, because I want to not get caught on these green blocks up ahead. And I'll still be able to make the fast cycle without doing that. Like, that doesn't really matter. Oh, okay, that was... Okay, I'm just gonna wait for these to go top and just spawn in. So, yeah, I'm gonna be losing a couple cycles there. Alright, that was unfortunate. I didn't die at least, which is all you can really ask for. The worst thing you can do on this star is die. Because then it also throws off your cycles. Alright, I managed to screw up that star bit at the last second, I think. Alright, so now I'm actually going to be heading back to Worlds 1 and 2 to do some of that cleanup like I was talking about earlier. It's not going to be too much, it's only going to be 4 stars, 3 from World 1 and then 1 from World 2. But these are stars I couldn't get earlier because I either didn't have the comets unlocked or I didn't have the star that's necessary to unlock that Unlimited Galaxy. And once again, like I said earlier, I'm going to use the Grand World Map so I can go straight from World 3 to World 1. First, I'm going to be doing a Sky Stations Comet, so this is the first speed run comet. Note the space. Apparently Nintendo thinks speed run is spelled with a space. These are stars where you're put on a bit of a timer. And this stars might seem a little weird to you because you only get 20 seconds to start off with, but you see those clocks? Those will add 10 seconds to your time. So you actually do have enough time, as long as you go out of your way to plug some clocks every now and then. Also, this is one of the best songs in the game. Just thought I'd mention that. And this is a much shortened version of the first star. Because as you can see, I'm already on the last planet. Alright, that long bit is kind of annoying. Sometimes those platform cycles don't exactly work out, and other times, if you spin too early, you just don't make it. And you want to grab that clock midway through. Anyways, here's Pee-wee Piranha again. Same strategy as last time. I'm just gonna ground pound his shell once, and that time I got the early hit. Nice. So now I'm gonna go for the second early hit. Again, much easier on this phase. Like, I even ground pounded a little bit late there, but because he takes longer to start running away, it didn't matter. So, weird thing that can happen with Pee-wee Piranha is that you can actually soft lock the fight. I think it's done mainly by... It happens usually by stunning him with a Starbit right before it transitions into a cutscene. The cutscene just never activates, and then you can't interact with Pee-wee, so you can't get him to kill you. If that were to have happened in the comet, I could have just waited for the timer to run out and kill me. But if that were to have happened on the first star, I would have actually had to reset the run. So I'm glad that didn't happen. Okay. Next up, Yoshi Star Comets. This is going to be the first of 4 Romp Stars we're going to be doing. And Romp Stars are kind of new to Galaxy 2. They're the new kind of comet to this game, where you have to kill a bunch of enemies under a time limit. And usually there's some form of gimmick. For this star, it's going to be the addition of the Rainbow Star, which makes you invincible, and you can kill enemies just by touching them, but you can also, you also run really fast if you stay on the ground for long enough, and so I'm actually going to try to maintain this running speed as long as possible. It's actually really hard, because it's easy to lose it by just running into walls everywhere. So, let's see how this goes. Okay, that kind of slowed me down. So something I should probably bring up here is that I don't want anything to keep track of how these Spinies die, because one kind of annoying thing about this game is that if a moving element is off screen, then it doesn't actually move. And so what that means with this level is that if these Spinies die off camera, then the counter doesn't actually update until they die on camera. And so it's really annoying to get to the end there, and the counter just says 29 out of 30 Spinies, and you have to spin the camera around a bunch of times in order to get that one Spiny on camera so it can die. that was a pretty good Yoshi Star comment. Other than losing speed at the beginning there, I managed to keep it going after that. Alright. So up next is going to be that Hungry Luma Galaxy I was talking about earlier. This is going to be Flip Swap. And Flip Swap 1 is a pretty fast star in general. But there's a gimmick I can abuse in this level as well. So the gimmick with this galaxy is there's these blue and red platforms, and it will switch between the blue ones and the red ones being active every time you spin. So casually you have to be keeping track of where you spin, because spin at the wrong time you screw yourself over. But the thing is, these platforms have a rising up sort of thing. It's hard to explain, you kind of have to see it for yourself. So recall earlier when I said that if you jump on a platform that's moving up, your jump gets a lot more height. So what I'm going to be trying to go for is certain setups to where I'm going to long jump on one of the platforms as it's rising up. And this will allow me to get a huge long jump that will cover a lot of distance. And actually, each of these save a little bit of time. I'm going to be going for a total of 4 of these, but their first 2 are actually really difficult. It's really easy to die to one of these first 2, because the setups aren't too great. So we'll see how this goes. And I'm only going to go for... And if I die to the second one, I'm only going to go for it once. Alright, let's see how this goes. Alright, that first one. Got it first try, nice. Alright, this second one's really finicky. Okay, I'm not going to go for that. That's actually okay, because it'll allow me to get this checkpoint. Which I wouldn't be able to get otherwise. This third one's free. So yeah, you can also cancel a spin with a long jump or a single jump, like you just saw me do there. So not the greatest flip swap in the world. Okay, I'm gonna spin there for safety. But at least I didn't die. Probably still save time over dying. And I still got to show off 3 of them, which is pretty good. And now we're gonna be, again, we're taking down to the bottom of the starship here because there's a bunny here that's gonna tell us how to spin, but we kind of already know how to spin because I've been playing this game for about an hour. I already know how to spin. So we're gonna say goodbye to that and just head to the button because, again, that's all we care about. And now I'm actually going to head to World 2 real quick before I go to World 3 again. Because there's a comet here I want to get. Puzzle thing comet. Doing this star actually unlocks every purple coin comet in the game, so I want to get it out of the way as soon as possible, because there's going to be a couple purple coin comets I want in World 4. And as well as just some later on. But funnily enough, you actually have to collect Cloudy Quartz Comet in order to unlock this star. Because Cloudy Quartz Comet unlocks every cosmic coin comet in the game. And this is just a simple collect 100 purple coins under a time limit star. It's actually deceptively difficult because you have to grab each of these sets of 4 purple coins in just one go. And I've already missed one, so that's lovely. And you also have cosmic cones following you, so that's fun. And again, I'm doing these short jumps to give Mario a bit more speed, because this actually speeds him up a little bit. Alright. That was meh. Alright, I probably have garbage in my inventory. That was actually pretty bad, because I missed like 2 purple points and had to go back for them, but that can happen. Again, this star is not straightforward at all. It's really difficult to get all 4 purple points in one go. Yeah, I had 1 star bit in my inventory. Alright, here we go. It's time for one of the biggest hurdles in this run, and that is Bowser Jr.'s Fearsome Fate. So here's the thing with this level, is that normally there's a bunch of auto-scrollers you have to go through, and it's really slow and boring. But the level's basically all one height, and you get Yoshi right at the start. So it's basically one of those places where you can just abuse it from the flutters the entire way through. And I am going to be going for the much harder variant of this level, which involves 3 consecutive flutters. The first goes from the Yoshi egg to an asteroid that for some reason has collision. The second goes from this asteroid to a question block in the middle of nowhere that is really easy to overshoot. And then the third is from the, I need a precise angle to flutter from the question block through a common metal and then underneath the structure to dismount onto the final platform with the launch pad. This is a very difficult strat. I get no checkpoint, so if I die at the end, I lose like a minute. But I'll give it a couple tries because it looks really cool. Right, so this first flutter is actually really easy. It's the last 2 flutters that are challenging. Alright, so this flutter you need a really good angle, and if you're too far forward, you actually have to dismount, and you can't get on this question block without Yoshi or you're dead. Alright, here's the last flutter. I'm calling serious time here. Alright, I got it first try, nice. So you need a very, very specific angle to get both through that common metal and underneath the glass structure. And if you're too low during that last flutter, you just die. And it's also, if you mistime the dismount, you just die. That's a really tough flutter. And it's probably the hardest flutter you can go for at any percent, but I'm really happy I got that first try. It takes like 10 seconds over the all SuperViperT302 level, but we're not done yet. Because now it's time for Mega Hammer, which is another pointer-based boss, so more fun time with that. So I'm going to head back a little bit here, and I'm going to try to get an early hit with this setup. And I got it. That's nice. So I actually don't want to get an early hit on this phase, because I want to cancel one of Mega Hammer's animations. So I'm going to wait here. So when he's shaking there, he was getting ready to smash his hammers together, which would waste a couple seconds. And I wanted to avoid that. So now I'm at the back here. I'm going to lure 3 bullet bills over here. And I'm going to use 2 of them to take out this back leash spot. And then get the third one into Yoshi's mouth. And I'm going to hope to have it score through the cutscene. Because this will allow me to get a free hit. And it did. And he's supposed to lower his head here, but a side flip and a full flutter allows you to reach the clock deck. Alright, that was a perfect Mega Hammer. That boss fight can be really irritating if your sense of art decides to screw up on you. And bye, Yoshi. You're not getting your Grand Star appreciation today. So yeah, that level can be really stressful in PB-paced runs, because that question block flutter is really easy to die to. I'm glad I got to show that off, though. So now that's 3 of the 6 worlds done, or 3 of the 6 Grand Stars collected, I should say. Though I wouldn't say we're halfway done with the game yet. We still have quite a bit to go. But the action only gets crazier from here. So stay tuned, because we're not even close to being done with all the crazy shenanigans yet. So World 4 is, I would probably deem this the hardest world to get consistent at, just because it's a lot of really difficult strats, and this is probably the world where I'd say mistakes are the most costly, because most mistakes here are anywhere between 20 seconds and a minute, I'd say. And there's a lot of places where you could easily die. Alright. So first we got the next Hungry Luma Galaxy, Sweet Mystery Galaxy. Where we're going to be reintroduced. You saw this power-up in Honey Halls, but for a brief moment. The Bulberry, which will, when you have Yoshi and you have the Bulberry, you're able to illuminate certain floors that otherwise just don't exist. And you're going to be seeing that in this galaxy. And this galaxy is very similar to Fearsome Fleet, because you get Yoshi right at the start, and the level's all in one height. So you basically just infinite flutter from beginning to end, except this time it's not nearly as complicated. Also, I would highly suggest looking up the IL record for this level. It's really sick. But, yeah, this should kind of speak for itself. Basically, the infinite flutters in this level are used to just travel faster over sections you normally have to platform across. Alright, so this first flutter is probably the most tricky because you basically need a blind angle, and I'm going to try to go from here all the way over to the comet level. Alright, that was perfect. And I'm just gonna, this flutter is just, these next two flutters are just to skip over all these platforming sections. I'm doing a shake at the start of most flutters because that starts me off with more speed and acceleration. Alright, this last flutter is actually kind of scary because I'm skipping a launch star by doing this, but because I'm doing that, there's actually an invisible floor underneath you, so if you fall, you won't actually die, you'll instead hit the invisible floor. And it takes like 20 seconds to find a ledge you can fall off of if that happens. So obviously not something you want to happen. But thankfully, yeah, I didn't fall. Yeah, I haven't said this yet, but the inputs required to crouch cancel for infinite fluttering are you have to hold A, press Z while holding A, let go of Z, and then press A again. And if you accidentally press Z and then A at the same time, then you'll accidentally dismount off of Yoshi. So you have to be really careful. It takes a long time to get the flutter for the rhythm for infinite fluttering down, but once you have it down, it's really easy to just do it. Like, I've infinite fluttered for like 20 minutes straight before. And you could probably go even longer than that if you wanted to. Alright. Flipsville Galaxy is one of the coolest galaxies in terms of just looking impressive in speedruns. This first star in particular has some really cool skips. So I'm gonna climb over the walls here to get to this common middle section early. And I'm gonna kind of do some long jump off here. And gravity is going to take over because this game was very well designed. I'm going to skip over to this planet. Because I did that skip, I'm actually kind of unloaded a kill plane here. So I'm going to backflip onto that roof and get some momentum from the slope. And I'm falling backwards with a decent amount of momentum. And if I spin at the right time here, I can enter the gravity field of the boss planet and skip the entire level. That is a very visually impressive looking skip. Alright, so now here's the Lambdozer. So the trick with this boss is that the entire body is actually vulnerable, not just the target on its back. So, I'm basically waiting underneath its chin, and then, when the boss becomes vulnerable again, when Lambdozer becomes vulnerable again, I can just ground pound right away, and that'll get the free hit. That was a good flip for one. That star actually gave me some trouble in my practice run, so I'm happy it went well here. Sadly, the other two stars aren't nearly as flashy. So I'm actually going to be going back and forth between Flipsville and Sweet Mystery here for the first part of World 4. Because another thing I haven't brought up about comets is that in order to spawn them, you need to have all the main stars in that galaxy collected. So for Sweet Mystery, that's just star 1. And for Flipsville, it's stars 1 and 2. And you also need to have at least one star in between the last main star and when the comet spawns. And I like to call these buffer stars. So for Sweet Mystery, the buffer stars are Flipsville 1 and 2, and for Flipsville, the buffer star is actually going to be Sweet Mystery from it, which is kind of ironic. Alright, next up is Flipsville 2. This star, again, isn't nearly as flashy as Flipsville 1, but there's still a bunch of really big time savers you can go for. They're supposed to use the spin drill on these first two planets, and I'm going to say, again, I'm going to say to heck with that, and I'm just going to skip it entirely by just jumping to where I need to go to instead, because that's way easier. Alright, okay, I got a jump cancel there, which is actually kind of bad. I have to do a slower approach to that. Alright, now we're coming up on the Silver Stars area. This is one of the weirdest parts of the run in terms of how it works. Alright, I have to make a tight cycle here. Alright, that first part is easily the hardest part of making the fast cycle in this star. So this part is basically like half cycle-based, half auto-scroller, because you do have to wait on all these cycles, but you do have to play long enough to wait for the fastest cycles. Alright, notice how right there I'm gonna drill and it grabbed that coin even though I was nowhere near it. Keep that in mind for the comment. Because you're gonna get to do some weird stuff with that. Alright. Sometimes you can grab that star right away after drilling, other times you have that happens where you just fall to the ground, you have to wait for the gravity to flip again. I don't know exactly what goes into that. Okay, so now I'm going to be heading off to do Sweet Mysteries Comet. So Sweet Mystery Comet is another deceptively difficult star. I actually like to call it a devil in disguise. Because you're basically collecting 100 purple coins while riding Yoshi so you can have a bunch of Bullberry floors illuminated. And Yoshi walks really, really fast. So that's useful because you can stay on the ground for as long as possible. You don't have to infinite flutter at all in this star, hopefully. So I can just walk on the ground and collect all these purple coins, and I can do short flutters in midair to minimize the amount of time I'm in the air. But this is also a problem because it's really difficult to grab all these purple coins while going really fast and not miss any. Especially when you're trying to make your turns and movement as tight as possible. So it's very likely you'll see me miss a couple here. Fortunately, purple coins have somewhat big hitboxes. And it usually doesn't waste too much time to go back for them, but since there isn't really a whole lot you can do to speed up the star, every second counts. And it can be annoying. There's a platform up here, coming up here, that's kind of on a cycle, but because it was off screen for most of the level, when you get here, it doesn't really matter. So it really just comes down to how well you play that section, or if you make the best cycle or not. That was actually really, really good. I don't think I missed any purple coins. I also got the jump cancels out. Probably was really close to my goal. Alright, next up is SuperViperT Comet. And this star is a bit of a doozy. So I actually didn't get to show this off at the last event because I wasn't comfortable enough with the route. But there's been a new route that I've been working on getting consistent at since the last event. That was found by How to Cantaloupe. And it saves her anywhere from like 3 to 5 seconds over the old route, but it's really, really tight on cycles. And if you mess up this route, you can easily lose up to 20 seconds. So I'm going to try it here, but don't be surprised if I lose a lot of time to it. This is a very difficult route to execute. So like for the first half, I'm going to call serious time, because I need to kind of focus here. And once again, I can use these spin drills hitbox properties to just grab all those purple points from really far away. Alright, this room is really hard. This cycle is really annoying. But I got it. Alright, so from here on out, it's pretty safe. Pretty safe, smooth sailing. Alright. That was about as good as I could have asked for. now I'm completely done with Sweet Mystery and Footstool, because I've gotten all the stars I can get from either of those two galaxies. So, like, it's gonna say Galaxy Complete here, because I can't get any more stars. Well, there's no stars left for me to unlock. Until the green stars, but no one cares about those. Alright, and now I get to move on to bigger and better things, and I mean that in a literal sense, because this is Supermassive Galaxy, where everything is big. Kind of like the giant world in Super Mario Bros. 3 and Tiny Huge Island in Super Mario 64. And I'm only going to be collecting one star here, but there's a few noteworthy things about this level. So right at the start here, I'm going to be turning the camera to manipulate the timing of both this pipe and the thwomps up ahead. Because again, since they're off camera, they're not going to move. And by turning the camera like this, I'm actually able to manipulate their cycle so that they're much more in my favor by the time they come on screen again. Alright, so I'm going to use this pipe here to get a cool little momentum jump that will allow me to skip over a portion of this gap here. And this saves the equipment. Oh my! I never made that. I've never seen that made without a wall jump before. I didn't even know that was possible with Mario. Someone clipped that. That was ridiculous. I didn't know that was possible. But anyways, that saves the equivalent of one thwomp cycle. Now I'm on this planet where I'm just gonna use the spin drill, and once I drill one Koopa, I can just drill all three of them without even having to move. And I'm going to do that same camera manipulation stuff on this area right here to manipulate the timing of some elevators up ahead. So, provided I did this right, a popper should literally occur right underneath me, right there. Boom. Alright, this last planet, these wigglers, I don't know, their cycles are weird sometimes, so I'm gonna kind of have to see and react here. Alright, those are decent cycles. That was a good Supermassive. Nothing went horribly wrong, like it could have. Alright, and I'm good on common metals because I know I should have 20 after Supermassive. Because otherwise this comet won't spawn. So I'm going to head over to Chomp Works and Starshine Beach, and I'm going to be kind of going back and forth between these galaxies for a little bit as well. Chomp Works 1 is actually a fairly slow level. And there's not too much it has going for it. Because this is mostly a bunch of auto-scrollers with the chain chomps rolling around and whatnot. There's a few things you can do to speed the star up. So on this first planet, I'm actually going to be going about this in a very roundabout fashion. So I'm going to be running up the edge of the slope here, which causes Mario to not get affected by the slope's properties. I'm going to hit this lever, I'm going to head over here, and I'm going to try to get this comet, and hopefully I don't die here. This section's been giving me a lot of trouble lately. Alright. Perfect first section. I'm going to stun that Octuma so its coin doesn't get in the way during this flight here. I'm going to long jump into this launch star so that I don't get a landing stun on this planet. On this next planet here, there's this strat that I think was found by Nemi, or Patal, I don't remember who, where if you just barely touch the left edge of that seesaw, you can lower it just enough so that this chain chomp can make it on it without having to break. And that just saves, we didn't used to think that was possible, but it saves having to wait for the next chain chomp. Alright, and unfortunately on this last planet, there's almost nothing you can do to speed it up, and you also do have to let this next chain jump break. There's no way to get through it fast enough. Although if you have a second player, you can actually hold that chain chomp in place, and then lower this platform and allow it to get on. And 2P actually saves a lot of time in this star. It can save up to like, I don't know, 12 or 13 seconds. Probably even closer to 15 for RTA, but unfortunately it's just, I don't have a second player, so... Oh well. And I've got a lot of time to kill her, so I like to use momentum from this button to get some cool little backflips. I'm just gonna kind of go here, just gonna get in place, and then yeah, that star was pretty fun, and it did have a lot to explain. It is slow and whatnot, but again, there's a lot to cover in that 2 minutes of gameplay. Alright, so up next is Chompworks 2, and this star might give people who play Galaxy 1 PTSD, because this is going to bring back the Spring Mushroom. Thankfully, we don't have to use it for the entire star, because it can be skipped on the first 2 planets. You can actually technically skip it on the 3rd planet as well, but it's slower. But the big thing about this star is that there are elevators on the 3rd planet that are on cycles, and you can actually see these elevators when you enter on the 1st planet. So if I don't get the jump cancel, it's nearly impossible to make the fast elevator cycle, which saves around 5 seconds. And I've actually made it in RTA 1 time ever, and it was actually during a 242 star run, so my gold still doesn't have this. Alright, but I didn't get the jump cancel, so I'm basically already not going to get it. I'm going to do that same running up the slip trick I did on Chompworks 1 to get up there quicker. Get the spin drill. I got the frame perfect camera cancel there though, so there are some planets where you're not able to go into first person mode normally, but if you land on if you go into first person mode on the first possible frame, then you can cancel the animation. And here I'm using the nunchuck to spin out of my wall jumps, because that allows me to spin quicker. Also shouts to Pac-Man. I think Hack Attack is an FFZ emote here, but I don't know. I will check after this star. Yeah, I'm not going to make that elevator cycle. There's no way. Even if I did make it, I probably wouldn't save time with it. Alright. So I just gotta kind of climb up here, and we're good. Alright, let's see. There is no Pack Attack emote, rip. Alright, so up next is Starshine Beach. This galaxy basically paying homage to Super Mario Sunshine. Because it's kind of the beach-themed galaxy. It's very open world for once in this game. There's a lot of Piantas. And also Yoshi doesn't die when he touches water in this game, unlike Sunshine. So I don't know what happened to Yoshi between Sunshine and Galaxy 2. And this is a pretty cool level, Starshine Beach 1, because since the silver stars are spread out, there's actually some very inventive ways for getting from one to the other. And also, again, and I said this is a Yoshi star, so yeah, those are been fluttering. You probably didn't see that coming. Alright, that's a frame perfect ground pound, so that's what I was talking about back in World 3. So what I'm going to do here is I'm going to bounce on this crabber so that I stun him. And then I'm going to get on Yoshi. And then I'm going to eat this crabber and infinite flutter up here. And then I'm going to fire this crabber at this glass container to get this silver star. And I'm going to try to infinite flutter from here. Straight to that tower over in the distance. This is actually a really tricky infinite flutter because the camera makes it really hard to judge where you are in relation to the tower. So as you can see there, it looked like I was actually very far back. But I actually wasn't. So it can look like you're directly lined up with the tower, but you're actually too far forward, and then you'll have to dismount. Whereas if you're too far back, it's okay, because you can still flutter forward. Alright, I need to get the dash cutter here. I'm gonna go for another cool little dismount here. This one's much harder than the one I go fall. And I got it. Nice. So that's very similar to the dismount you saw in Hightail Falls, where I have Dash Yoshi and I'm going up a really steep slope, so when I dismount off of him, I gain a lot of height. Okay, in the water, please. And there's a common medal just out of the way over here. The comet star in this galaxy is really fast, so that's definitely worth going out of the way to get. And I'm gonna get on Yoshi, and because it's fast, I'm gonna infinite flutter over this star. That could have gone better. That was a pretty decent structure of each one. I made a couple small, like, movement errors here and there, but overall I will accept that. Alright. So, next up is Starshine Beach 2. This star is normally very long and roundabout. You have to go underwater, or you have to hit you have to go under this tower, hit a switch to make a cloud flower appear. Then you have to go all the way over to that cloud flower, and then ride a leaf all the way over to this tower, and then use the clouds to climb up it. That's all slow, and that's all boring, and thankfully one of our good Chuckster friends is located right next to the tower. And so you can actually use the Chuckster to gain enough height to land on the highest cloud, and if you don't have Cloud Mario or B Mario, there's a small frame window where you can actually jump off of the cloud before it disappears. And I can use that to get on top of the tower. And it saves like about a minute to do that skip. So I just got a long trip all the way over there. And I'm going to be turning the camera midway through this, just to get that some of those clouds off screen so I can manipulate the cycles for later, otherwise I'd be too late and I'd have to wait a long time. Actually a little early here, so I'm going to wait about a second and go. I'm going to wait till I start falling backwards and then spin. And that was perfect. So the window to jump off that cloud is only around 1/10 of a second, but it's really lenient. You should not have issues with it at all. At any new aspiring runners of this game. Alright, just one star remains before I have to move on to the boss fight of World 4. And that would be Chompworks Comet. So Chompworks Comet is the last planet of Chompworks 1, but with Cosmicons. This star sucks. Because like I said, the Cosmicons make backtracking nearly impossible, so if your Chomp breaks somehow, it's really, really hard to recover from it. You basically have to die. Although, if you're wanting to get a free IL World Record, you can grind this star out because it's basically an auto-scroller. And you can get a frame-perfect time of 51.2 seconds if you're going to grind that out. You basically just have to break this Chomp at the right time, because if you break it at the same time the cutscene starts, then the next Chomp will spawn sooner. And just play until you get the star, and then grab the star as soon as it appears, and you'll have a free world record, and you'll have it tied with like 8 people or something. And again, because these cosmic ones are annoying, I'm going to try to keep them up in my back for as long as possible, so I'm just kind of moving slowly here, so that they don't get in my way. Chomp almost broke there. Alright, so this is not going to be the frame perfect time, but it'll probably be something close, like within a second. Alright, so that's everything in World 4. Now all that's left is Bowser's Gravity Gauntlet, which is the boss level. And I got a 51.95, so that's actually 0.75 off the perfect time for this star. So Bowser's Gravity Gauntlet is a pretty interesting galaxy, because there are 2 different, really big skips in this star that you can do. And you're going to be seeing both of them in this run. The first one is a trick known as Behind the Castle, and the name kind of speaks for itself. So this 2D castle you see right there, you can actually go behind it where there's lava render, and If you lava boost in a specific way behind there, you can enter the gravity field at the last 2D section. And it saves around 25 to 30 seconds, depending on how well you do either route. The thing is, though, this skip is rather finicky, because you have to be a specific distance away from the wall. And I'm also grabbing this life mushroom so that I have the extra health, because you need at least 5 HP to do this. But ideally you need full health. And you need to do the skip on this star instead of the other one, because you need to go over here to get the fundamental, and the skip is right next to here. So I'm going to jump from the side block, get on top of this pillar, and then walk around here, slope, slide off of it, and then jump and go behind the castle. And now, once I'm behind the castle, I start as close as possible, and then hold up right for about half a second, which will put me the perfect distance away. And I'll enter the gravity field. So the reason why I have to do that specific setup is because, otherwise, if you're too close to the castle, you actually get stuck in this weird limbo state, and you basically just remain there until you die. And if you're too far away, you'll fall off the edge. So you have to be that perfect distance away. But thankfully I got the skip. It loses a lot of time to die to that, because especially if you grab the checkpoint. Because then you can't really attempt it again without backtracking. So you would just do the other skip at that point, but that's still way slower. One of my older PBs from like a year ago actually died after getting the skip. So here's the second Bowser fight. There's a lot of changes from the lava layer fight to this one. Bowser will now only drop 2 meteors instead of 3, and the meteors and his fists will have shockwaves coming off of them. And the fact that he drops 2 meteors is actually really problematic sometimes, because he can punch out both meteors at once, which will cost you a cycle. And each missed cycle or missed hit in these fights wastes around 15 to 20 seconds, depending on what phase you do it in. I'm also going to be going for a punch cancel on this first hit. Where I'm actually going to wait for Bowser to charge with a punch here, and then hit the meteor. And this will cancel the punch, and therefore he won't try to punch at the start of this phase. And I don't have to do that any more times, so... Okay, that was really awkward. Sometimes you can't ground pound those meteors right away. And so once again, I'm just going to kind of pay attention to those fire attack hands. Okay, I do not like this position, so I'm going to try to lure him away. I was just playing it a little bit safe there. Alright, so let's see where this ends up. I also don't like that position. Where are you going? Alright, that was a really slow second phase. But at least I didn't miss any hits. It's better to be safe than sorry when it comes to Bowser fights. Especially because I am going to be ahead of my PB after this segment. And I might even be on my best pace ever. By like a couple seconds. But there's still an hour of the run left, so anything can happen. Alright. So, we gotta sit through those cutscenes again, so... Proto, if there's any other donations you can read or whatnot, or you want to plug anything, now's a good time to do so.
Yeah, so I just want to take a second, since it's been a little while since we talked about this, since we're all the way up here at comfy Saturday evening, to talk about what we're raising money for in Lake Effect Morning. The charity we're supporting with this marathon is Take This. Take This is a mental health outreach organization that supports the gaming community. They're really cool because they've catered their programming to the community they're working for, rather than the other way around, as some organizations might do. They run outreach and education programs, in addition to safe space programs, both online as well as at conventions, such as their quiet space rooms that they run at conventions. So take this as a really good organization, and we really appreciate all of you helping us support them.
Alright. So next up is World 5, but before we actually do anything in World 5, I'm going to backtrack to Worlds 1 and 2 to clear up a few stars I didn't get earlier and a couple stars I couldn't get earlier. One of them was a comet that took 20 comet medals to unlock, and another required a mail-toad letter that... Another star actually required a mail-toad letter that I couldn't get until I got a star from Trunkworks. So the first thing I'm going to do, High-Tail Falls Comet. Due to routing convenience, it's just better to do the star here. It doesn't really matter. It's just what everyone does. This is a High-Tail Falls 1, but on a timer, and Nintendo gives you way too much time to do these kinds of missions. So the major differences are, there's holes in the ground, which for the most part aren't an issue. There's meteors falling, which for the most part aren't an issue. And the ending of this star is going to be slightly different, because I don't need comet medal, because, well, this is the comet. And these pink enemies here are Smeeches. If you touch one, it will latch onto Yoshi's tongue and won't get off until you shake. So don't touch that. And once again, Dash Pepper makes you go fast. You want it as long as possible in it because it lasts between launch stars. And then once again, I'm going to be running off the left path here because this Dash Pepper is here and I want it. I nearly ran into that wall. If I had ran into that wall head first, then I would have fallen all the way down. So, thankfully, that didn't happen. By the way, there's no checkpoints in this star, so if I die anywhere, I go back to the beginning. And now I'm going to be taking a slightly different approach for the ending, so I'm actually going to be taking the launch star this time. And I'm going to be going for what I like to call the Leap of Faith. So let's hope this goes well. Oh. Nope, my faith wasn't strong enough. There we go. Alright, there we go. So, yeah, if you jump at the very edge of that wall, you can gain a tremendous amount of height and make it up to that higher level. It saves around 5 additional seconds over what I did on High-Tail Falls 1, in addition to what you was really awesome. Alright, I'm gonna need some blessed RNGs in the chat for this next star. Because this next star is probably the biggest RNG fest of the entire run. This requires killing 30 crabbers on that planet with Rolodillo and Boulder Bowl 1, where the gravity is terrible, and with Rock Mario. And their movement is basically random. And I only get a minute to kill 30 of these crabbers. If I run out of time, then I actually have to start the star all over, and it's really bad. So what I'm going to try to do is I'm going to try to hope that these guys group up for about the first, and then once I get to around 24 or 25 of them, I'm going to kind of start focusing on the individual ones. Alright, 8 from that first one that first roll is pretty good. So I'm just going to kind of roll around. I'm going to be keeping an eye on where the crabbers are by looking through the planet. I'm going to try to get as many of those blue crabbers early on as I can, because they have the most annoying to get and the most erratic. What I just did there is actually a feature that is never explained anywhere in the game, but you can actually jump out of rock form early by doing the same input that you would do for a ground pound, which is just A and then Z. Alright, I need to get 2 more. And I'm not stopping my roll for some reason. Alright, the last one I think is over here. Where is it? I've got plenty of time to find it. Okay, there it is. That was weird. So sadly that last crabber cost me a little bit of time, but I said I didn't fail the mission. That wasn't too great though, because the timer started getting below 10, which is not what you wanted. I probably lost like 10 seconds to that star. Again, better than failing the mission. Yeah, ultimately you can get a time that's like under 50 seconds on that star, and I got a 1-on-1. Here's another mail letter. So you actually need 4,850 star bits around that for the bank toad. You actually need 5,000 star bits for the route in total, but you get 150 of them for mail toad letters. Alright, so now we're going to do the Boulder Bowl letter star, and I'm going to select Boulder Bowl 1 to do this, so I'm going to get to skip the cutscenes. And you're gonna get to see Boulderable 1 skip without Rock here, which is way, way easier. So this part, though, is a little tricky, because the camera isn't very cooperative here. Like that. But once you get here, it's super easy. You don't even have to set it up. Just run up the lamp, long jump to the left, spin, and you'll enter the gravity field every time. Without fail. And now we get to escort this Goomba over to one of these little Gearmo guys. And this Goomba likes to do whatever it wants to do. Sometimes that's what you want to do, and sometimes it'll just stop right in the middle of that mud trail for no reason. And get squished and die. And you only get 2 of these Goombas, so if both of them die, okay. If both of them die, then you actually have to redo the entire mission. And why I was kind of scared there is because the game can just soft lock during that cutscene for no reason. And I've had it happen to me once. It's not fun. Luckily, though, this game does autosave, so in the event that the game does randomly crash, or if, like, you game over or something, it doesn't matter. You can just reload your save, and you don't lose any progress. Alright. So now we're gonna progress to World 1, where we're gonna be doing Fire Photography Comet, and we're gonna be visiting an old friend of ours again. His name is Gobblegut. I'm sure you remember him. He's that guy from World 1 who I executed perfectly. So this is the game's second chance to really screw me over. This fight, provided it goes perfectly, should go the exact same as the last fight. I'm going to be going for the exact same thing. So once again, I'm trying to attack Gobblegut's belly bulges while he's in the air, and the setup that I'm going to do requires nothing to go wrong, and mistakes can cost tremendous amounts of time. So let's not make mistakes. So hopefully I'll just get 2 for 2 perfect Gobblegut and you don't get to see the other side of the coin of this fight. Alright, this is real weird. Alright, good first phase. The second phase is generally the harder of the 2 for me. This is looking good so far. Alright, 2 for 2 perfect Gobblegut. That's really good. Really happy with that. Ooh. Gotta love the burp. And that's that star done. So now we're completely done with Worlds 1 and 2 for the rest of the run. We're not going to be going back to either of those 2 worlds again. We get to finally move on to World 5. It's been a hot 9 minutes, looks like. So, we're not going to be collecting too many stars from World 5, but the ones we are going to collect are pretty interesting. And now we're going to spend the rest of this segment in World 5. So Space Storm 1 is actually one of the 4 stars, not counting boss levels, that you actually have to collect in order to make progress in the game. There's just no other star you can do. But fortunately, this star isn't very long. It's only like 1 minute and 20 seconds. And there's a few interesting things about it. Namely pole stars, because I don't like pole stars. But we'll get to that at the end of the level. So this planet, this cylinder planet right here is really, really finicky. It's really hard to do this planet optimally, regardless of what strats you do. Case in point. Oh. Alright. Wait a little bit before launch jumping into that launch star. Now here I'm gonna lure this Bob-omb to break a piece of glass. This is actually the only time you do this in the entire star, even though the star is named Follow Me Bob-omb. So you would expect more of this. I always found that weird. I'm gonna skip some walking by just long jumping over the launch star. And now we're on to this final section, and this is where the pole stars really kind of start to get annoying. So I've never been a huge fan of pole stars, because in order to do them optimally, you have to grab onto them and then let go of them at the right time to get the right amount of momentum. It's really hard to figure out a consistent pattern for these. So I kind of grab onto every pole star possible, and as you can see there, I just lost a little bit of speed. I'm not letting go of pace soon enough. I got hit by that laser there, but that doesn't matter because you get suspended in midair for a little bit, and during that time period, you can grab another pole star and save yourself. And as you can see, now that I've collected this one star, actually I pressed A a little early there. I collected that one star, now I have access to all of World 5. Pretty lazy game design, TBH. Alright, this next star is actually pays homage to a GUI-based galaxy from Galaxy 1, and even has the GUI-based music. Unfortunately, you're not going to get to hear too much of it, because this level's also really fast. Although really hard to do really fast. Because a lot of moving platforms are sped up and made really fast, but you see all those little switches? You can press those to slow down time. Hopefully I'm going to be able to make it through here without having to press any of those. So let's see how this goes. So that pole star. So that section went well. So now I'm going to jump on top of this wall here. And just long trip up here, and that skips this entire first section of the level. So I'm going to head up onto the swamp, and then back up as it's rising up to get a lot of time. Walk them onto this blue platform, over here, and then I'm going to use a triple jump to skip this last top men fight. And if I can start like that. So yeah, that star probably would take normally like a minute and a half to 2 minutes, and I just completed it in under 30 seconds. Sorry that you didn't get to hear much of that song right away. Alright, next up is SuperViperT Galaxy. So this is kind of the Hailfire Peaks or Freeze Flame Galaxy of this game, where it's a combination of a lava level and a ice level. It's a pretty neat concept, although one slightly too overdone. And the first one I'm going to be doing is the second skating challenge. So once again, I would appreciate if people would place bets for what score I'm going to get. This time, guess between 600 and 900, because the bar has been raised a little bit. And again, only guess the multiples of 10. So, Proto, you got any guesses? Skip over the C here by using clouds. Okay, I guess Proto's AFK right now. Cool. And the patterns you can get here are the same as the ones in Freezy Plague. They can be rotated in 1 of 4 different ways, so there's literally the only thing different about this minigame is that you have to get a higher score. So I got 680 last time, I think, so I'm going to see if I can beat that. This is already going really well. Alright, 830 is actually pretty good. And I also like doing the homing ground pound off the chin for absolutely no reason. Alright, so sadly, I guess nobody gets to win that one. Unfortunate. That's not the last time we're gonna see the chimp though, so don't be sad because it's going away. Or I guess if you didn't like the chimp minigames, you can dread having to see the next one. Here's a SuperViperT 1, and right at the very start of this level, I'm gonna do a big skip. This is the nature of Galaxy games. This is going to be a gravity exploit using clouds to allow me to skip from the beginning of this first planet to the end of the second planet. Oh, that's... Alright, so that's a bit of a problem. So I'm actually going to backup strat this. This skip was actually found by a full 31. So I'm going to try to go really low here. Because I'm going to try to enter the back side of this planet. Alright, so I have got a bit of a situation on my hands here, because I need to lose this. Okay, don't be there too long, so I'm going to try to get a point on this guy. Alright, save that. And the reason why I need to get rid of Cloudmire is so I can use that floaty effect so I can get through the second section a little easier. So here I'm turning the camera to manipulate the timing of these falling icicles up ahead. And I'm gonna lava boost to these falling icicles so I can skip kind of for Kunas back to those guys when we go further here. Alright, so that beginning was a little bad, but I was able to salvage it. Kinda had to improvise there. And now here we have, I always forget this guy's name, I think it's Prince Picante. And so I'm actually going to be doing a bit of an RNG safe strat that's a little slower, but way more consistent. I'm going to miss that first coconut on purpose. And I'm going to hit this second one late. Or not. Alright, so now I have to improvise this as well. And basically by doing that, it would allow me to avoid having to deal with this upwards firing attack that happens if he goes near this side of the battlefield on the second and third phases. But now I'm basically going to have to deal with it, so I'm going to go for a backup strat here that's kind of luck dependent. Let's see how this goes. Okay, I didn't get it. So you can like spin out his mouth there and potentially hit one as it's coming out. And save it, but I didn't get good enough RNG to pull that off. So now I'm going to have to wait for him to spit out another coconut so I can fire it back at him. Alright, that lost a lot of time. That was... Alright. I had to wait. The game was waiting for that animation to finish up, so I probably lost a good chunk of time on that start. Optimally, what would have happened is he would have never done that upwards firing attack, and that basically eliminates all RNG, and it's only a few seconds slower than the optimal strategy. Yeah. We'll be going back to Shiver Burn momentarily, but for now it's time for one of the more finicky levels in the game, Upside Disney Galaxy. This galaxy can be really, really tricky, especially if you don't practice it a lot, because there's a lot of very tight maneuvers here. And this is Upside Disney 1 in particular is a very cycle-based star. There's a lot of just tiny cycles you have to make everywhere. And that's what I'm going to be doing first. So hopefully I get a very good demonstration. This is the first part of the star, looks incredibly cool and stylish if pulled off perfectly. But pulling it off is the hard part. This backflip is the hardest part. And I got it perfectly. Nice. And by long jumping into this gravity field here, I'm able to get a huge amount of height here. Just getting up there really easy. Now I'm going to go for this cool little Goomba bounce into the pipe. So I can skip out and hit that switch, and I got it first try. This hallway, by the way, is the most awkward hallway in the existence of gaming. Especially when trying to go fast. Alright, tiny mess up at the end there, but overall that was about as good as an Upside Disney as I would have hoped for in a marathon. I could have probably done that star like a second or two faster, especially that ending. but I got everything I wanted to get. And just, so yeah, in case I haven't said this yet, but Upside Disc is kind of the sequel to Right Side Down Galaxy. It's basically just the same kind of concept. You gotta figure out which gravity fields you're in, and learn to use them properly. This next star, the Secret Star, just like Right Side Down, it's just a box-breaking minigame. I'm going to be going for a pretty cool little Goomba bounce into the pipe here. Hopefully I get this because it looks really swag. Nice. That was perfect. Now I can use this Fire Flower and a triple jump to break these boxes. Hello. Hello. Okay. Side, please. Alright. Come on. Get in the pipe. That was so stupid. I probably shouldn't try back a little bit anyway. Alright, so now we gotta do the second box breaking minigame. This one isn't nearly as bad as the one in Right Side Down. It's a little tighter on time, but it's easier to do this one optimally because you don't have to throw them as nearly many awkward angles. Wow, I finished with a 9. That's actually really good. One thing to keep in mind when doing these box breaking minigames is that the fireballs don't actually come out of Mario's center, they come out of his right hand. So they're slightly right from... So you have to be like slightly to the left but perfectly lined up with your target, otherwise your shot will go too far to the right. And that's usually bad. Now we're done with Upside Dizzy. I also think this is the last time we're going to be brought down to the ending room. For any reason. Now I get to move on to the second spooky galaxy of the game, Blue Moon. We'll be collecting another 2 stars. We actually used to only go like the 1 star here, and we would actually get 2 stars from Supermassive. But there was a skip found on Blue Moon 1, the second star I'm going to be doing, that makes the star faster for 90%, and that's what you're going to see here. But first I'm going to be doing Blue Moon Secret, and I hate to break it to you, but this star is kind of just a bunch of Snake Block auto scores and a couple of jumps here and there. What do I mean by that? I'll explain later. Also, hi Luigi. And bye Luigi. So on this first planet, it's actually only faster to long jump at the beginning and the end. Anywhere else is slower due to how the planet's curved. Alright, I'm gonna try to do a frame rate camera cancel here. Got it. Very nice. So again, there's a bunch of Snake Block auto scores. You can actually skip most of the waiting on some of these by just long jumping to later parts, like that. So they're not. This level isn't exactly an auto scroller, but it's close. I'm just going to be kind of going along here, do minding my own business. These octaboos are terrible. There's a common medal up here, might as well grab it. And instead of taking the launch star, I'm actually going to jump to this set of Snake Blocks, pack the launch star, and do this. So yeah, you can just kind of skip most of that last set of Snake Blocks by just long jumping straight to the star. If you're playing this game casually, do that skip. It is much, much easier than trying to do that the intended way, because those octaboos are terrible. And the Snake Block moves really fast. So if you get hit, it's almost impossible to catch up to it. And you'll just die. Alright. So now it's time for Blue Moon 1, aka the level that used to not be in the 90% route when I started running this game, but in like, I think early 2015 this skip was found. Basically allows you to skip the last part of the Snake Block section before the launch star, and I didn't do it on Blue Moon Secret because I actually have to take the Snake Blocks in order to have access to the area in Blue Moon Secret. But now that I don't need it, now that I have to take the launch star, this skip is faster. And if you're starting out with any percent and don't want to do the skip, even though it's not that hard, I would recommend doing the star anyways, just because it's way easier to do fast. Also, fun fact, this song is the Ghost House theme from Super Mario World. So what I'm going to do here is after long jumping off this snake block, I'm going to activate this snake block, activate this gravity field, turn around, go over to this snake block again, wait for a little bit, and I'm going to wall jump on the back of it. Gravity takes over. So I just hold up, long jump, spin, and enter the launch star. I actually spun a little early there, so I'm glad that worked. So that skip saves a good chunk of time and makes the star faster than Supermassive Secret for 90%. Alright, that was good. And the last two parts are pretty straightforward. You just gotta collect those star chips and then collect the silver stars quickly. You actually have to be kind of quick with those silver stars, because if you wait too long, then that platform actually goes back down like that, and you can't grab really any of the silver stars while it's down. You have to wait for it to come back up, and that's really slow. Alright, only one star remains before the boss level of World 5, and that's actually going to be a really easy star. SuperViperT comment. After we get a quick nail letter. So this is actually the reason why Moon Moon 1 is used to be slow for 90%, because look, as you just saw, it's a pretty fast star anyways, but that nail letter is why. Because that nail letter only appears if you have Moon Moon 1 and Space Storm 2. And it's for a star you're not going to get, so it doesn't matter. Thank goodness. Alright, so SuperViperT comment requires killing 30 of those Octumba enemies on a time limit. Once again, you get to use the Rainbow Star. And you're probably wondering, since this is where I was skating in SuperViperT 1, if it's faster to skate or run, and the answer is neither. They're both around the same speed. But it's easier to turn while running. So what I'm actually going to do is after I grab the Rainbow Star, I'm going to skate to build up speed, and then jump out of the skating state, and then just run. I can use that to... I'm going to try to do this all on one Rainbow Star, which you have a few seconds to see on that. This should be okay to grab a star if I spin. Okay, now it's time for the boss level of World 5, Bowser Jr.'s Boom Bunker. I have a bit of a rough history with this level, or at least I just don't like this level. The reason why? Cannon shots. So you've probably noticed it by now that throughout the course of this entire run, I haven't had to do anything like motion control based, like the Fluzzard levels, the ball rolling levels, that's the stuff I'm talking about. Everything has just been strictly, platforming stuff, or on the occasion that I've had to use the pointer. This level doesn't really have anything motion control based, but it does have aiming cannons, which is required, and aiming cannons it just sucks. Especially in this star, because you have two really small targets to aim at, and if you miss either of these two cannon shots, you die, and lose a lot of time, especially on this first one where you have a really small target to aim at. So, hopefully I don't die to either of these, but it won't be surprised if I do. Alright. The first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to lure a bolt bill from this broken Mega Hammer over to this glass so I can activate the first cannon. And then after this, I'm going to aim the cannon basically at a tiny speck. It's going to be the Boomerang Girl's face. Let's see if I can get this. My PB died for this. I think that's too high. No, that's good. Okay, that's good. And then I can just long jump, bounce on this boomerang so I can ground pound out the long jump and do that. So I played it a little safe there, but that was probably for the better. I took a couple seconds to set it up. And this cannon shot's a little bit easier. You just have to aim at the spot and wait for a platform to drop underneath it. And it's much more lenient. And now I'm going to grab the clouds and use the floating mechanics to just launch up all the way over that common metal. Try to find perfect ground pound here, and I got it. That's actually one of 3 frame perfect ground pounds I'm going to be attempting in this star. Alright, so here's Doomsday. This boss is notorious for making either you or itself look like a complete joke. Hopefully it makes itself look like a complete joke, but I have died to this boss in front of 20,000 people before. So, let's hope that something like that doesn't happen again, even though I'm not exactly being watched by 20,000 people. Alright, that's frame perfect ground pound number 2. Let's see if I can be 3 for 3 on these. Ah, I pressed the key too late that time. Alright, this second phase is really tight. I'm gonna hopefully I don't mess this up. Alright, that was a little slow, but at least I made it. I lost like maybe a second to that. It's better than dying. So sadly, what happened on Shiver, there were a couple of stages in this world that kind of prevented me from being ahead of PB at this point, but this is actually still really, really good pace coming out of World 5 for me. Like, this run might still have potential at PB. My PB is a 304.55, and World 4 can take, a good World 4 for me is around a 39.30. On average, World 6 is around, I meant World 6, I think I said a different number earlier. World 6, an average World 6 is like 40 minutes. So at the very least, this could still 305. And I'm going common medals, because I need to have 28 after that. But World 6 is also it's, in addition to being the longest world, there's a lot of tricky stars here, and there's a couple of stars where big mistakes are not common, and they are possible. So, I don't anticipate this run PBing, so don't expect anything grand. But it could still happen. We'll see. We're going to start off with Melty Monster, which is actually the only 3-star galaxy in this run where I'm going to be collecting all 3 stars in one go, because it's just 2 main stars and a secret star. And all 3 stars are fast enough to be included. Well, Melty Monster 1 is like a minute and a half, but Melty Monster 2 is under a minute, so it's worth doing the star first. And this star is obnoxious, I'm just going to say that much. You have to have really good movement throughout the first like 45 seconds of this level to make tornado cycles. And the first part of that involves pole stars, which, as I expressed earlier, I'm not very good at. Also, my search bar is a little weird. That was a little slow, but I think I'll take it. The tornadoes, basically, the tornadoes midway through this planet are on global cycles, so I have to have good movement throughout the entire first part of the stage to make the proper cycle. And here I'm going to be doing a bunch of mini platforming skips, like using this life mushroom to lava boost past these poles. Also, if I make the tornado cycle, I will have to skip out on a checkpoint, which shouldn't be a huge issue. Alright, looks like I'm going to make this. And making this cycle allows me to skip another one of those tornadoes. So now I have to enter this launch star. And now we're going off to the last section. This is a very annoying section of the level, because all these planets, these tiny planets, have their own field of gravity. So it can be really tough. Alright, that first one will pull along that there skips the first few planets. And also helps avoid some of the magmals. And I do a little backflip here once this magma passes by to get to this last star crystal. And I'm going to break it from the left because it's easier for your spins to register there. And this is going to burn me, but it's not going to matter. I can land this planet to my left. I'm just going to go to the star planet, and that was a really good Melty Monster 1. That's actually a pretty tough star to do as well as I did there. That last section, those tiny planets are just obnoxious sometimes, but I handled it really well. Yeah, 131 is a really good time for that stage. Alright. Next up, Melty Monster's Secret Star. Technically, it's faster to do Melty Monster 2 first, and then do Melty Monster Secret Star, because then... Oh, I'm not going to do that. Because then one less star will appear on the Star Select menu the third time around, but doing it doesn't take that much time, really. It doesn't matter at this point. And also, this will allow me to auto-select all 3 stars, which is way more convenient. So this is the third and final chimp challenge of the run. This is the bowling minigame, and the range of scores to guess from is not very big, so I'm not going to hold a competition of any kind here. Because I have to get 50... There's 56 pins in total, and I have to get at least 50 of them to win the minigame. However, I'm going to be intentionally skipping 3 of them just because I would have to wait for them because it ends faster. These first 4, I can just hold straight forward, not a huge deal. There's a couple areas where I have to jump, and then I have to adjust for some later sections. There is actually a trick you can do to save time on this star, but it's very, very difficult and definitely not marathon safe. Where you do a spin jump as you go onto the ramp, which will cancel the ramp's effect, and then you jump at the very edge of the ramp and continue. And when you land on the next platform, you can actually continue rolling without stopping like I have to here. And this can actually save a huge amount of time on this star, but it's very, very difficult to pull off. I've only pulled it off like a few times in my life, and probably never in a run. Again, if you mess it up, you die, so it's not marathon safe at all. But that's a pretty straightforward star otherwise. Nothing too crazy. Alright. 1 star left in Melty Monster, and it's definitely... This is another really, really stressful star, in my opinion. This is the last time we have to use Rock Mario, and this star has been known to cause a lot of people trouble. For one reason or another. And this is also the last time you'll be seeing Rock Mario in the run, so say goodbye to it. So, this is actually a really good level to farm Starbits from if you need to have farm Starbits for any reason and you can't get an SD card save. Because there's like almost 200, there's like 150 Starbits plus in this level, and it's really good. And you can die and farm Starbits up until you have 999. And then you can just redo the level over and over again. It takes like, I don't know, 10 minutes each time. Alright, so now I'm going to obviously be trying to spit out my Starbits, but... Alright, so the one thing to know about this star is that there's a skip I'm going to go for at the end. I'm only going to try it once. Because if you fail it, you die, and you lose like 45 seconds if you do it. Where I'm going to, I call it Zigzag Skip, and you're going to see why I call it that in a little bit. It takes like 3 seconds before I get it. So let's see if I can get this. Alright, I got it. Very nice. So with proper angling and position, you can roll yourself across those gaps. And it saves like 3 seconds, again, because you don't have to hit those fences. But the setup required is very precise, and again, you mess that up, you're dead. So I'm very happy I got that first try. So Melty Monster overall went okay. And now it's time for Clockwork Ruin, so I want to have access to Throwback Galaxy, but in order to do that, I have to collect a star from this galaxy. And this galaxy doesn't lend you very many options, because the first star here takes like 3 minutes. But the secret star, on the other hand, is only like a minute and a half, because you have to collect 30 points to feed a Hungry Luma, but you can do that all on this first one. This does come with the thing, though, that I need to make sure I don't die, because otherwise these gear cycles would be not favorable. Alright, I'm going to skip out on this. I was meant to spin up both of those flames, but I only got one, so I'm going to skip out on the other one. Because I have to, hang on, kind of strict schedules here. Fortunately, though, my route for this is pretty safe. So, don't expect anything to go too wrong here. Alright, so I'm going to look forward in first person mode here for a little bit to advance the cycle to the gear up ahead. This gear is probably the hardest part for me. Especially this triple jump coming up here, this is very finicky. Got it. So now I just gotta get 10 coins from this box, and I have 2 coins I need to get from this gear. Optimally, I would only have 1 to get, but I missed a coin on missed one of the flame coins, so I have to get that one. It's not too far out of the way though, so that was still real solid. And now that I've done this, this star is basically done. Like, the hard part is out of the way, because now the Hungry Luma is going to transform into this planet. As you can see, there's a bunch of hammers on it. It's supposed to be another one of those planets where you have to go all the way around and hit these switches to slow down time. But once again, I'm just going to do a triple jump walk and skip all of that. That. Again, do that skip if you're playing this game casually. It'll save you a lot of hassle. And it's way better. So by doing that, I am now giving myself access to the Throwback Galaxy, which I'm sure many of you will recognize almost right away, especially if you were here earlier today and were watching me play a different game. So this is Throwback Galaxy, a recreation of Womp's Fortress from Super Mario 64. This first star is basically a remade version of the first star from Womp's Fortress in SN64, and the Comet Medal is actually where the shoot into the Wild Blue star was. So, yeah. You saw me play SN64 today, so I can't make any jokes about how this is going to be my best Cheezo 5 impersonation. But, yeah. Continue on through here. So I'm going to head over to this Comet Medal. I'm going to do a triple jump, spin, and glitchy ledge grab to get that Comet Medal, like that, and kind of jump up from the ledge. Alright, make my way up here. You can actually skip killing this Womp, but no. It requires using the Womp itself to clip through the floor in a very stupid way. And again, if you get squished attempting this, you're just dead. And because you don't get the checkpoint, you go all the way back to the beginning of the level. And this clip is just really inconsistent and stupid, and no one goes for an RTA, and it only saves a couple seconds. So here's the Womp King. Unlike SN64, you can't glitch through him, so you have to fight this guy legit, somewhat. And these Wimple guys are the worst. It's actually, I have actually died to this boss fight in runs before, including one run where I lost 305 pace to dying, and therefore 3 PB pace, to dying to this boss not once but twice in a row without grabbing the checkpoint. And it was in a relay race too, so. Alright, sometimes if you jump at the right time while doing that, after that final ground pound, you can just kind of get a really huge jump, and it looks really cool, and it's completely useless. Also, I should probably mention that King Womp has the same text that he does in SN64, so they paid very specific attention to detail there. Yeah, that's a nice little reference there, tribute. And now we have access to 2 stars that are under a minute long in Throwback. Throwback 2 is another Silver Stars mission, and you would have expected them to like place the Silver Stars in like red coin locations or whatnot. But they were a bit lazy with this. Instead, they just kind of threw the Silver Stars around randomly and then gave you Cloud Mario. Like, what the heck was that thing? I mean, it's still pretty neat though, because there's getting from one Silver Star to the next, there's a really fun move in here. This is a pretty fun star for me to do. And it's not very difficult either. So at the start here, I'm going to be bouncing off the Bob-on Buddy to get up to this ledge. I actually want to be holding A when I do the bounce so that I get more height. Otherwise, I don't really make it up. Okay. So, cycles here are way too lenient. So I'm going to wait for this platform. I have to make sure I wait before I make this cloud. Otherwise, if you make the cloud too early, then you don't collect the Silver Star, and you have to wait for that cloud to disappear before you can fall down and collect it. And it's really bad. Alright, I'm going to do some cloud boosts here to get up to this 4th Silver Star. Alright, this last part is really tricky. That was perfectly executed. Alright. Yeah, that was a pretty decent throwback too. Alright, so next up is the final Hungry Luma Galaxy of the run, Flash Black. And Flash Black, I'm taking this bottom route for a really good reason. Because the top route, the third galaxy you have to go through with the top route is called Battle Belt. And Battle Belt is an interesting concept. You basically have to go through a bunch of different planets and kill different kinds of enemies. The only problem with it is that the galaxy is very, very slow. So we like to avoid it like the plague in any percent. I actually have a any percent no bank toad route, and one of the Hungry Luma galaxies I unlock is actually Flash Black, so I actually have to collect 1,800 Starbits in order to unlock it. Just so I can avoid going the top route. Plus the bottom route, the 2 stars in Flash Black are very fast. They're like, I think both of them are like under a minute and a half. And Slimy Spring is just a much easier star to do fast. Well, and you'll see why. So Flash Black's gimmick is, as the name kind of suggests, the lights on in the mansion and basically in the level in general will only flash like in rhythm to the song. But I played this level like hundreds upon hundreds of times. I know what this level is going to. I know what the layout of this level is. So don't worry about me losing my way or anything. I got another jump cancel there. Alright, let's see if I can get through here. So I'm just gonna use Yoshi and the Blood Fruit to climb up this mansion. This first part is nothing too special here. There is a potential cool ending I can go for at the end of this if I can keep Yoshi until the very end of this section. Alright, it looks like I'm gonna be able to go for it. I think we're gonna be high enough. Alright, yeah, this should be good. Now I can land on Yoshi, bounce on this thing, dismount, going backwards, and ground pound right into the launch star. So that maneuver is really cool. Now in this last section I just gotta collect these 5 silver stars while dodging all these enemies that try to get in my way. This yellow platform is on a really good cycle actually, it's not moving really early. Alright, so now I have to do literal blind jumps to get to the star, because I kinda can't see. Alright, there we go. That was a really good Flash Black one. And up next, we get kind of a nice little breather star in the form of Slimy Spring. So this star is, to sum it all up, basically 2 minutes of swimming with the shell. It's very boring, and you can probably just spam Resident Sleepers or something during the star. But it's also a nice break from the action. So, Proto, if you want to plug anything, or if there's any donations to read, you've got, like, the next couple minutes or so. Because I'm not going to have much to say. Basically, just swim forward with the shell, and don't run into anything, and you'll be fine. Boost at the start. Oh yeah, there's also a slow boost at the start. I'll get that past that first. So let me get that past that first. Alright, got it. Alright, now you can talk. Sorry about that.
Oh, cool, no problem. Not too much going on right now. Having a nice comfy late night stream. For those of you who are tuning in for Super Viper or for Take This or for what have you, just a quick reminder of who we are. We're Speedruns Rochester. We are Rochester speedrunning organization, if that wasn't clear from the name. We have weekly meetings during the academic year where we hang out and speedrun together at RIT and put on marathons like this one that you're watching right now. So if you're ever in Western New York during the academic semester and want to come hang out with a bunch of speedrunners, feel free to stop by.
May I ask real quickly how the perfect run is doing? Because I was wanting to say that like I want donations. I want that to close off after the final Bowser fight.
That's looking like it has about $50 left to go, which is definitely not an insurmountable goal based on the donation pace that we've had for the rest of the marathon. Might take a little work, but I think that we can get there. So if you want to see the perfect run, and trust me, you want to see the perfect run, better get those donations in now.
Yeah, one person just needs to donate $50. Come on, guys, don't be cheap. Alright, so yeah, just kind of going fast with these rings. There is a kind of cool strat I'm going to go for at the end here. I'm going to jump out of the water and throw the shell at a precise time to try and get this treasure chest. If I mess this up, this isn't really hard. You just need a good lineup, and the lineup, you have plenty of time to set that up. And even if you miss this somehow... Oh. Okay, I didn't get to jump out of the water, but that's fine. We'll just throw the shell, and it doesn't waste that much time. Even if you miss that somehow, there's a shell right next to where you are, so it doesn't lose too much time. So this is the last normal star, if you can call it that I'll be collecting until Bowser's Galaxy Generator. The last 6 stars I'm going to be collecting until then are all comets. I'm going to be collecting 2 from World 3, 2 from World 4, and 2 from World 6. And I'm actually still on PB pace right now, so it's really going to come down to the late game run colors here. There's like 2 really big ones coming up. Alright. So first I'm going to be going to Honey Hall's Comet. Going back here for World 3. I technically could have done the star way earlier, but due to routing nonsense that is way too complicated to explain, I need this to be a buffer star for B-Block's Comet. And then B-Block's Comet is going to be a buffer star for Graviton's Comet. And this is basically the last planet of Honey Hall's 2, but with Cosmic Clones. It's still a bunch of long jumps. Nothing's really changed. Although the pattern for the long jump is going to be slightly different, because the cycles of these little eating guys are kind of different. So the floor layout's going to be slightly different. Also high LEW. And high LEW. Don't worry, this is the last time you have to listen to the Cosmic Clones. I know they kind of get annoying sometimes. Alright. That went well. That's a pretty easy start. Although it has killed PB pace runs for me before. I hate to admit that. Alright, now we have 2 World 6 run killers back to back. B-Block Comet and Gravity Comet. So, B-Block's Comet, the game actually outright lies to you about this star. So, this comet claims that the blocks are now switching in double time. But, if you remember from the first star, they switched every 8 beats of the song, and on this star, they switched every other beat. So, if you do some simple math, 8 divided by 2 is 4, the blocks are actually moving 4 times as fast on this star. And they actually expanded the area where the silver stars are. So this star is not exactly trivial, but And cycles don't matter nearly as much. Obviously, you still want to go as fast as possible, but there's no, like, really fast cycles you have to make. That will lose a lot of time in one instant. And also, for whatever reason, you get Yoshi during the start, so that's okay. I'm just using the infinite flutter. Let's see if I can grab this checkpoint. Alright, nice. Alright, this is where it gets really spicy. Alright, I'm gonna wait for this. Alright, I'm almost guaranteed to be able to land on this yellow block that's below me, so I had to wait a couple cycles there because I wanted to play it safe, but it's really easy to die in this last session if you aren't careful. And with it being so late into the run, it would be a really big drag. But that's not even the worst of them. Up next is my least favorite star in this entire run, and it is Gravity Gauntlet. So, in Gravity Gauntlet 1, you saw me do a skip called Behind the Castle. Here you're gonna get to see me do I'm gonna be going for the other skip, and because it looks so cool, I'm gonna go for it until I get it. And there's not really a name for this one. So, I'm gonna head to World 5 and then backtrack to World 4 to save world map travel. So the basics behind this skip are, if you hit a lava wall, contrary to a floor, and then hit the lava again, you actually get boosted horizontally rather than vertically, and you gain a huge amount of horizontal speed. And you can actually use this to perform a skip that's 10 seconds faster than Behind the Castle. The only problem is this skip is very, very finicky, and you have to do very specific inputs in the air to prevent yourself from dying. Dying to the skip wastes around 35 seconds and basically kills any PvP-based runs. So, hopefully I get the skip first try, but I won't be surprised if my PvP-based dies here. This is a very scary star in this game. Alright, here goes nothing. This should be fine. Alright, I barely made it. That was really close. Alright. So, yeah. You kind of saw that there. That skip is complicated because you actually have to switch from holding right to up left at very specific intervals during that fall. And messing up any part of that procedure causes you to miss the platform entirely. I was actually almost too far to the right. But here's the best part. If you land too far to the left, then you actually just fall through the floor. Literally. And it sucks. I once actually killed PvP-based having that happen 3 times in a row. Thankfully, though, that didn't happen, and I got the skip first try. Which means I'm still on PvP-based. With only, like, 13 minutes left, potentially, but anything can happen in those 13 minutes. Like, no PvP-based run is safe until the very last battle fight. And now we get a nice little breather star. We actually get a couple of them. Because Starstream Beach's Comet is literally free. And they could have made this a collectathon where you have to go all around the level and collect purple coins, but instead, they just gave you lines of purple coins to grab and they gave you Dash Yoshi. Which I don't mind, this is a really fast and easy star, but I don't know, it could have been better. This is a very tricky star to do optimally though, because you have to make very tiny adjustments in order to grab all these purple coins on the nunchuck, and that's not exactly easy to do because the nunchuck stick is a little sensitive. And also when you're going really fast, it's really hard to make tiny adjustments on the fly. Alright, I missed a couple there, but provided I don't miss too many more, I should be able to do a tiny little time saver here. Alright, I'm not going to go for it. If you have enough purple coins after that, like the last set, you can cut around that tower instead of doing what I did. And skip a couple rows of purple coins, which can save a few, like a second or two, but it doesn't really matter. Alright, and all that's left are the 2 comets in World 6, and then after that it's off to Bowser. So first up is Throwback Comet, and if you remember Throwback 2, and if you thought Throwback 2 was riveting, you're gonna love this star because it's almost the exact same thing. except you're on a timer. But once again, Nintendo gives you way too much time to do these things. The only like actual difference is that some cycles in the beginning are going to be slightly different due to the fact that during these intro cutscenes, the camera is showing different parts of the level than in Throwback 2. But that's literally the only difference. So I'm actually going to use this time to touch base on a couple things I didn't touch base on during Throwback 2. So these are the cycles that are hard to make, getting past that guy, and then also this little platform right here. Alright, so once again, I'm actually going off to the right here because I want to get more momentum from long jumping as Pod Mario above an abyss. Not really sure why that happens, I guess because Pod Mario is floatier. That's very similar to what I've used in Fluffy Buff 1. Alright, so I gotta do that movement here. I gotta do this pod just one more time. Alright, I was a little low there, but I still made it up onto the pod, and that's what really matters. Alright, just one more star before Bowser, and this might seem like a bit of an anticlimactic one, but it's actually not. And the reason why I'm saying that is because it relies on a skill that no other star in this run has tasked me with before, multitasking. And being able to pull off this star successfully is really satisfying, because it just feels so cool. So this is another romp star with 30 October enemies to kill. There's no real gimmicks here, but you have 3 different ways you can kill them. You can either jump on them, spin attack them, or shoot them with the star bit and then pick them. For most of them, I'm going to try to shoot them with star bits, and this means I have to be able to pick up star bits, aim them, shoot them, keep track of my star bit counter, and control Mario all at the same time. So this actually requires a lot of focus, because I have to be keeping track of how many star bits I have while simultaneously going through this area. And as you can see, I've already ran into one, because like if I try to shoot them with a star bit and then miss, and I just run into them, that's obviously bad. Here, I'm going to kind of jump on a couple to make my life a little easier. So I'm going to grab that coin just for safety. Dying on the star also isn't uncommon, so it's not over yet. Alright, so now I have Yoshi at the end, so I can use him to eat some of these enemies. I need to get this guy. And this is actually pretty cool because Yoshi can actually eat more than one enemy at a time. He can eat up to 3. I'm going to do a little sideways flutter over to get to the star quicker. Alright. Alright, and provided that I don't make any major mistakes during Bowser's Galaxy Generator, I can actually PB with this. Let's see here. I am currently 12 seconds ahead. Reminder that my PB is a 3:04:55. I think my best possible time is probably like a 3:04:30 something. But we have the hardest skip in the game to dole out first. I didn't practice this. Hopefully this goes well. Alright, I got it. Alright, so that skip is called Purple Idiot Skip. Basically, there's supposed to be a cutscene on the space right before Bowser's Galaxy Generator, but if you click on the Galaxy Generator space with the Wii Remote instead of moving there with the nunchuck, you skip over the cutscene entirely and save like 35 seconds. It was found by OddMe in late 2015, and despite my memeing earlier, it is actually free. It's the easiest 35 seconds I have to save. That's actually why I've been playing in widescreen for this run, for that skip, and also it makes some cycles better, and it makes the bunny quick grabbing Cosmic Bug Secret much easier. Here is the final hurdle, Bowser's Galaxy Generator. This is a really, really cool level. Oh, that's unfortunate. So now I have to kill one of these guys for a coin. Oh, I meant to. Because Alright, what I'm trying to do here is that probably just cost me like PB there. But that's okay. I don't mind. Because I want to be able to do this. Yeah, that's just another lava wall boost there. If that cost me a PB, don't worry about it. I'm not gonna be salty. This has still been a really awesome one. So I got rid of the spin drill there on purpose. I'm just spin drill for safety. Because I want to be able to long jump and just spin after jumping. Which lets me skip over good portions of that section. Now we're coming up on this section here. Uh-oh. Alright, I'm fine. This section is actually really awkward. So I'm going to try to keep one cloud going into this section, because coming up is, without a doubt, my favorite infinite flutter in this category. This is a really awesome infinite flutter. You're going to love this skip. It is so cool. Because basically once I get on the Yoshi egg, I'm going to infinite flutter straight to the end of the level. And I actually have to do this in 2 flutters due to the 10-second cooldown, due to the 10-second limit. So this first flutter I'm just going to use to get on top of the castle, and then afterwards I'm going to flutter over the giant pit of lava. And I think you're going to like that because it looks visually impressive, but this is actually a really precise flutter. Alright, and I'm going to dismount at the end there so I can gain that extra distance, and I made the top platform, nice. Alright, so making that top platform is actually kind of precise. You need to start with really good height, and you need to dismount pretty late. But doing that basically skips a bunch of snake block auto-scrollers and a long Yoshi section at the end. And it saves like, I don't know, 45 seconds. And you have to actually be careful with controlling your height during there, because if you go too high, you actually soft lock the star and you have to exit the level. It's really horrible. Alright, here we go. The final Bowser fight. So, this Bowser fight is kind of like the one in Gravity Gauntlet, except the shockwaves are going to be split into like 6, and then on second place they're going to be split into 8. And also, Bowser's going to go back to dropping 3 meteors, and he's a lot faster to pull out his punches. And again, this hits waste about 20 seconds. I think I'm like barely on PB pace as it is because of what happened earlier. So, if I miss a hit here, it's GG on that. But I don't, it's okay. This will still be a really insane time for a marathon. Alright, so I'm going to go for another punch cancel here. Well, once again, I'm going to wait for Bowser to charge up a punch, and then I'll hit him. That definitely worked. I heard the sound effect. Alright. And now here we go. The final phase. This is where shit... Oh, I'm sorry, I didn't mean to swear. Forgive me. This is where it gets real. Bowser is very, very quick to pull out his punch on the 3rd hit. And if I screw this up, it's GG. So, hopefully that doesn't happen. Okay, this is a really good position, I think. Alright, I'm gonna go to this meter. I'm gonna wait. Okay, I think that's a problem. I think Bowser, I just canceled it. Okay, yeah, that's GG for PB. So what happened there was I accidentally hit Bowser as he was about to do his attack for summoning in the meteors, which meant that he didn't summon the meteors. So now I have to wait an extra cycle. And that's about as bad as missing that hit. So that's going to cost me a PB. Unfortunately. If it hadn't already died. Technically I didn't miss any hits, so... Alright. Whatever. You know. It's a marathon. Happens. I'll get another chance. I'm actually planning on going really hard on this category over winter break, so... Considering how many PB pace up runs I've had recently, especially this one, I'm definitely looking forward to it. And this is still going to be a really great time for me. But yeah. Time's going to be coming up in just a hot moment here. So let me just do some long jumps up to the star, you know. minding my own business, and who saw that one coming? Alright, so this last fight is pathetic. You basically just press A and Z 4 times and you win. And there's literally no way to die because Bowser's one attack drops a coin. Alright, that barely didn't hit. Oh my god, oh, really? Anyways. So, yeah. This music is really epic, but you don't ever get to hear all of it in runs, because this fight is too fast. Alright, so yeah, this isn't gonna PB. But this is like low 305, which is still really, really, really good for a reset. Alright, so time is actually coming up now. It is going to be when I touch the Grand Star here. So yeah, despite choking PB there on Galaxy Generator, I'm still very happy with how this run went. So yeah, get ready, just have one more long jump left. No, this might be my third best time though, because my second best is 3:05:10. And time. My timer says 3:05:15. So that is actually marathon world record by
3:05:15 it is.
That is actually marathon world record by 45 seconds and only 20 seconds off my PB. And I was 12 seconds ahead of PB going into that final stage. So very, very happy with how that run went. That's actually almost 3 minutes better than my run of this for the last event. So, while I'm in the credits, I'm going to go ahead and give some shout-outs to a bunch of awesome people in the Galaxy community. First of all, Value111 is the current world record holder for this category with a 3:01:57. And he also holds the 242-star world record and several of the Galaxy 1 world records. Nemi43 is second place in this category with a 3:03:03, and he's been a world record contender for a really long time. He does insane strats and runs. And he also has insane ILs on his YouTube channel, which I would highly suggest checking out. YoshiFan28 has done a lot of research on both of the Galaxy games. And he has a lot of interesting videos on his YouTube channel that are worth checking out. Oddme, who I just shouted out earlier for Finding Purple Idiot Skip, is very balanced in all 4 of the main 3D Marios and is a top Odyssey runner. The Sludgy Gamer holds the 80% Luigi world record in Galaxy 1 and is also pretty well versed in this game as well. Hardcore Gaming 07 and Danny GG and Mr. Cloud Kirby are very fast improving runners in Galaxy 1. How to Cantaloupe is 4th place in this category. He hasn't been streaming a whole lot recently, but I have a feeling he's going to come back soon. He has a lot of potential for this category. Alexander hasn't been streaming a lot recently, but he's definitely a top-tier player, and once he comes back to running this game, it's going to be insane. Mutants Abyss / Claire, very good 242-star runner. I don't think I'm missing anybody. And just shouts to the Super Mario Galaxy community in general. And if you're interested in learning either of these games, I strongly suggest joining the Super Mario Galaxy Discord. We have a Discord server for both of the Galaxy games. And that's the best place to go if you want to go into these runs. I also have a playlist of tutorials for some of the harder tricks in this run on my YouTube channel, which is the same as my Twitch username, but with a space in between SuperViper and T302. And those are really good to use if you want to learn some of the harder tricks. So yeah, if the staff is willing to allow it and willing to wait 3.5 more minutes, there is something I want to show off at the end of the credits. I don't know if the perfect run was met, but even if it wasn't, I do want to try to show off something at the end of the credits. This is the last run, and I don't know if you guys would rather just call it here, or if you... I don't know what you want to do. Are you okay with me showing it off? I don't want to spoil what it is until the end.
I think we should probably call it. We're getting close to your estimate time, and I'm sleepy.
I understand that. It's fine. I don't ever get to show off in marathons, though, so it's okay. Don't worry about it. Anyways, I guess thank you all for watching, and thanks Speedruns Rochester for having me again. I'm really glad I got to do another run of this, and I'm feeling really motivated with how close my runs have been to PB recently, so I'm definitely looking forward to continuing my grind over spring break. And with that, I'm going to throw it on over to the hosts.
Cool. Thank you so much, Super Viper, for another awesome Galaxy 2 run. Another good day of Lake Effect Warning. I'm very tired.
I can tell.
With that, that's the last run of tonight. We will be back to raise more money for Take This at 10 a.m. sharp tomorrow. So, everyone out there, thank you so much for watching. Thank you so much for donating.
Okay, yeah.
Go get some sleep.
Okay, yeah.
Please go get some sleep.
Yeah,
we all need it.
I'm feeling kind of hot right now, so I also had to call it a night soon. I also had a headache a couple times during this one, so I might need to call it a night. Alright, and with that, I'm gonna call it a night. Good night, everyone. See you at 10 a.m.